TFNB, your Bank for Life studio. This is 365 Sports. Presented by IdealMRI.com. Premium quality MRIs, convenient, affordable. That's Ideal. And by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. We are Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, your insurance provider built by Texans for Texans. And we've been protecting families in our great state since 1952. TFNB, your bank for life, serving Central Texans since 1889. Now it's time for 365 Sports.
First day of the NCAA tournament, the first weekend of college football, opening day, Major League Baseball, and also the first round at the Masters at Augusta National. We'll discuss that, check in on the leaderboard here in just a moment. We also today will check in with the Cincinnati Bearcats football team with Chad Brendel, Matt McChesney, former Colorado football player, now starting a podcast with 247 and CBS Sports on Colorado. And also today we'll have Art Strickland from Augusta National with just him telling us what he has seen today. Paul Catalina and Craig Smoke with a little red and crimson involved in our show to start it off today. Rez and Logan, Garrett and Andrew, all being a part of the back of what we do on 365 Sports. So let's get to the opening tee shot, the ceremonial. This has been going on forever with Hall of Famers as they come and go. And Gary Player, Tom Watson, and the great Jack Nicklaus, all of them Hall of Famers, open up the tournament this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Fred. Oh boy, watch out. I don't mean that facetiously. What am I hearing there? Okay.
PGA Tour and all of players coming back. And then
you didn't take a practice swing. That was your problem.
Get to some leaderboard, and there's some big names. There's Watson. About what the PGA Tour did, accepting Brooks Koepka back or Patrick Reed eventually back or anyone else. The leaderboard right now, there's a couple of big names. Jon Rahm is 4 over through 9. Bryson DeChambeau finished 4 over in his opening round. That's a couple of back-to-back rounds for him because remember, he had that horrific final back 9 or even front 9 against Rory in that match play last year when Rory won the Masters. Sam Burns and Rory McIlroy, 5 under par in the clubhouse. Patrick Reed and Kurt Katayama and Jason Day are 3 under par in the clubhouse. Gary Woodland's playing well on the front 9 at 3 under. Scheffler 3 under through 8. Shane Lowry's 2 under. Schauffele, Spieth, and Justin Thomas all at 2 under par, and many more that we'll get to throughout today. The course and the weather. This may be the best 4-day stretch of the tournament forecast, and even leading up to the tournament where there has not been a deluge of usually a thunderstorm or two or a little bit chilly. The conditions of the course right now, which is always gorgeous, are immaculate.
Yeah, it's been really good today so far. A lot of guys under par already, halfway through or through the day. First of all, Gary Player's shot looked great. The fact that he can do a Jack Black leg kick like that at 90 is amazing. We had him on our show in 2020, and it's still to this day. There are some times when you make a phone call. I remember when I called Pat Summerall and he picked up, and we had to call Gary Player's daughter first, but then she put him on the phone before we got on the air, and he said, "Hello, this is Gary Player." And my first thing is like, no, it's not. Like this is, somebody set up this elaborate prank and they've got somebody whose daughter it is. Then you hear him say it like, oh no, that's Gary friggin' Player.
Yep.
So it was really one of my favorite interviews we've ever done on this show. So every year at the Masters when he tees off, and 90 years young for Gary Player. It's always great to see that. Tom Watson, who, as of about a decade ago, would still go to the British and stay in contention for a little while. So yeah, it is.
Missed a putt that would have won it.
Yeah, that would have
putt that would have won it.
I do think that would have been the greatest moment in the history of golf, in my opinion, and for senior citizens everywhere. Just because, holy cow, how can you do that at his age? But it was locked in. But yeah, I love the Masters. I love it every single year. You do hate it when the weather's bad, but man, it's God is smiling on it today.
Conditions are perfect. Craig, yeah, you have a chance to watch it today at all? I haven't watched a lot of it. I've kind of kept up with it. I was doing other work.
Yeah, no, I was a little busy today. Had other things in mind than the Masters. So no, I hadn't got a chance to watch much of the Masters. I'll probably catch some of it later on tonight. But yeah, it's good to have it underway, and it's always a fun event, whether you're a hardcore golf fan or not. And I look forward to just kind of seeing how these next few days play out and what comes from that as far as storylines and everything like that. But I know it's a big deal for golf fans. So for those folks, I'm glad that you're getting your little slice of heaven in Augusta every year.
We usually do a little bit more when it comes to the majors, the 4 majors. Ryder Cup is also something, but we'll have Art Strickland from Augusta National in about an hour and a half. But one other note, remember the LIV, the breakaway, Bryson DeChambeau, Patrick Reed, Dustin Johnson, among others, and Brooks Koepka, which is a big name. Mickelson, of course. Koepka stopped LIV, left LIV, and wanted back on the PGA Tour. There were thoughts that those players would never be back, or they're going to pay a penalty, and Koepka's having to do that financially in certain ways and not available some of the money that's distributed to the players at the end of the year. Tom Watson, listen to his thoughts and give me your feedback in the chat at 365 Sports YouTube, and we'll discuss it with Craig and Paul too. Here's what Tom Watson said he thought should have happened on Koepka coming back to the tour.
The tour made a decision that to renege on what they promised when the players left for LIV, and they felt that the compensation that he's paid is to be good enough. I thought that the LIV players, when they left, they were supposed to be banned for life, and if I was commissioner, this is what I would have done. I would have said, if you're finished with your contract with the LIV Golf, if you want to play the PGA Tour again, you come back and you must play the Korn Ferry Tour for a year to qualify for it. But they saw it differently, and when the players left, they violated the number one rule that we really had out here to protect the sponsors. The sponsors need players. They need the names to be able to, to promote their tournaments. And if the players play wherever they want to play without a conflicting event rule where you had to seek the permission of the PGA Tour to play in a tournament opposite a PGA Tour tournament, the sponsors would be hurt by that. And I think we all understood that. And when the players left for LIV, I think it was basically over. They chose to go for the money, which is fine. But to return the tour, I thought was a non-starter, but apparently it's not.
That's Tom Watson, Hall of Famer, with his opinion. I would think more of the old school guys would have that same opinion, although Rory and others have had their opinion along the way.
I don't completely agree. I almost completely agree with him, but he did paint it well from both sides of, like, the PGA reneged on something that they thought the players were going to get. So you had a group of players that took advantage of that and went to LIV. They didn't kind of stay in the fight. The guys who did stay in the fight, though, and stayed through all of this, now where you've got guys coming back like Koepka, like Patrick Reed eventually, whatever DeChambeau is going to do, or John Rahm or whoever, that to me remains to be seen. But I do think that LIV is a pretty failed experiment in my mind. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think anybody cares about it. It's just the Saudis giving them money to play 54 holes of golf, and I guess now they've expanded to 72, but it's not anything that anyone cares about. It's not, if Bryson DeChambeau won every single tournament for a whole year on LIV, would anyone care? Would it, other than, helping his YouTube channel, would it raise his profile? Would it raise golf's profile? No. So it was a failed enterprise, and now they're seeing it coming back. And as far as playing the Korn Ferry Tour for a year, I think that's pretty fair. I mean, I know that maybe you make a different exception for a 4-time major winner like Brooks Koepka, but if you were one of the guys who didn't, if you were Brooks Koepka's brother who's on the tour, maybe you do have to go to the Korn Ferry for a year. I don't have a problem with that, but again, I'm not a golfer, so I don't know, but I do think that it does not need to be just a carte blanche pass. And Brooks Koepka is foregoing a lot of money to get back in, of which he would be a part of. Now, some of those other guys that have gone to LIV would not really be a part of it like Brooks Koepka would. I mean, obviously they're a part of it because of the PGA, but because of his stature, maybe he's different, and then the other guys have to play the Korn Ferry. I would be fine with that.
I mean, I can understand you seemingly did things the right way and feel like others didn't, and now they're going unpunished for that and just being welcomed back with open arms. Is that fair to kind of categorize that? So, yeah, I think I'd have a big problem with that as well. If you were working at a company and a bunch of those dudes left and said, we're going to this other place and it's bigger, it's better, it's paying more, it's less days of work, like it's awesome, you guys should come over here and join us, and then you're like, no, we're not going to do that. And all of a sudden, a couple of years later, they're like, hey, can we come back? Like, I know we tried to damage your brand and we tried to take you out competition-wise, but can we now be friends? Because now we need a job. A lot of that kind of stuff going on. And I think that in the case of the golfers who stuck around and were loyal, that, I'd be a little bit peeved by it as well. And I can understand their frustration. I don't know what the best course for dealing with that is for the PGA, not knowing all of the personal relationships and just kind of the talks behind the scenes that have gone on and led to some of their decisions as far as how to handle that. But yeah, from the plain golfer's point of view, just looking at it like, okay, so they can just leave and come back and there's no harm, no foul. Like, yeah, that seems kind of BS. So yeah, I understand that part of it for sure.
When Tom Watson said, and we'll move on to some other notes of college football and basketball, but when Tom Watson said, and I never thought about it this way, and he did, that it hurt the sponsors. It did, because a lot of tournaments, there's not quite as much star power. That doesn't mean that there wasn't some, but there were tournaments that without Bryson and without the others, it wasn't quite the same. So the sponsors are the ones who have carried the PGA Tour, even though you have the great players. They're the ones that put up the money and continue to put up the money and increase the purse, because television ratings exploded as the golf went into the Tiger and others along the way. So I like the way that right there more than anything else, whether they should earn their way back or not. But the sponsors are the ones that have made the PGA Tour, and the volunteers and the kind of money that those places, whether it's in Memphis or it's in LA or it's in Augusta, it has been the backbone of the PGA Tour. All right, couple of football notes. I know that there are, I don't think it's split. I think more people do not like the idea as college athletic programs try to find more scratch, more money. Here is a look at Memphis and their football jersey. A growing list of schools that are using the patch as a sponsorship as they get more money paid into the system to the university. Not a surprise whatsoever. If it had been anything but FedEx, I would have been surprised. Part of the company's sponsorship agreement into the millions. University also will give them on-field marks at their stadium.
Yeah, FedEx has already given a bunch of money, so this was probably grandfathered in. As soon as this gets passed in the NCAA, then we're going to get the jersey patch. That one there, I can deal with the size and shape of that patch. I think that should be the bellwether for what it should be. Anything bigger or more ostentatious than that would bother me.
I mean, I don't know how much bigger it could get, Paul. I
Yeah.
mean, it's shoulder to collar
Yeah.
as far as the width of it goes. So I don't know if it could get any bigger, but
And maybe it is just the nature of the FedEx logo. It's compact anyway.
yeah.
It's only, 5 letters. So maybe that's it, why it doesn't feel so like huge to me. But
Yeah, I mean it's a jersey patch. I mean it's a jersey patch. I think once we see this in action, we're going to probably become desensitized to it. But I think when we see it, we're going to be jarred at just how ugly and obnoxious it is. Much like with Major League Baseball, when you look at baseball now and you realize there was a time when we didn't have this, and we got used to it with the NBA. We've gotten used to it with baseball. Doesn't mean I don't still notice it quite a bit. God forbid the NFL ever doesn't go that. I hope the NFL can just stay strong enough that they are the one league that doesn't go this route. I mean, Premier League soccer, their jerseys have more advertisement as far as the placement of it being prominent than they do their actual team logo. So it's nothing new in a lot of sports, but in college, it's just still a little bit jarring, and I'll adjust. But yeah, it could definitely be worse. I'll say that this isn't the ugliest logo that's out there. It blends in with the blue pretty okay, and it's still college football. But yeah, it's a weird change to have to get used to. That's for sure.
When do you think was the last year that Memphis did not have a 500 or better winning record in football?
it's been a while. They've been very consistent through what will now be three different head coaches, and now be 4, between Justin Fuente, Mike Norvell, and Ryan Silverfield, all been very, very consistent.
That 2013, they were 3-9. And then, of course, they've had multiple wins 5 times. Good football team. Put some guys in the NFL. They were, at least in a way, on the radar when it comes to who are some teams that might get into a Power 4. They never got that. They got different reporting on how and why, but apparently weren't quite ready. Administration and AD was not aligned. It was that they were going through some changes. And even to the point where someone told me that they had the contract right there. They just needed to kind of verify it and figure it out. And Memphis denies that, and they just didn't get it done.
Yeah, there was the big report out there several months ago, and I remember watching Memphis radio on some channel. I think, who was it? Chris Vernon, that has a very popular show in Memphis, and I was watching his channel the day that came out, and they were all excited about the prospects, only to finish reading the story. And by the end, they went from, oh, wow, Memphis is maybe talking with a Big 12, and then they read the story out loud, basically. And by the time they got to the end of it, they're like, oh, wait, that's not what that means. And it wasn't soul crushing, but you could tell it was a big disappointment. I felt bad because they got so excited about the prospects of that. I mean, FedEx for Memphis makes a lot of sense. That works well. The brand synergy, I guess, if you will, is pretty perfect for them. The little touch of orange off that blue is not bad, but yeah, I mean, Memphis is a program that's been right there reaching out and just inches away from seemingly getting a spot on a bigger boat. And for whatever various reasons, they have not been able to get that. They haven't, and I don't know where that leaves them in the long run, but it sure as hell hasn't been for a lack of attempting to. And I know some of that is their own doing, not having certain things in order at a time when it would have been crucial to have your stadium in better order than it was when the Big 12 first came calling. So some of that's on them. Some of that they're trying to make up for. I don't know if it ever results in them getting the call they want, though. I think we'd probably see – my best guess on how they'd end up in the Big 12 ultimately would be a scenario where the Big 12 loses teams and then has to bring teams up. And then we're just in this cycle of filtering up, and it just goes, like a big circle, basically. That's how I see it at this point, because I don't know what would have changed for them to now warrant oh yeah, now's the time to bring them in. I would think that now it's even the worst time to bring them in, or anybody like them for that matter. But hey, the FedEx partnership makes a lot of sense, and that definitely won't be the worst jersey patch we see.
$25 million a year NIL commitment from FedEx. A couple of the other bigger sponsors, Simmons Bank, they named the stadium after it. AutoZone, Lowe's and Signal of Memphis, which is a security services partner, and of course, Tiger Sports Properties and Learfield. Brennan Marion, we brought this up yesterday. Craig, you did. Offensive coordinator in Colorado, met with the media as a lot of teams were in the thick of what they're doing with spring football. Some have wrapped it up. He was asked today about being given the keys to run the offense and his trust and vice versa with Deion Sanders.
Or whatever that it may be.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Prime has been awesome from the standpoint of trust, right? Like he was filling me out. He was seeing, you know, what I was about and, you know, what I have to offer. And then, you know, he saw that, man, like Marion can do this, right? And so he's trusted me and passed the ball and let me run some things and do some things and have that trust. And, you know, I'm really grateful that Coach trusts me and believes in me from the standpoint of, you know, it's different. I've gotten jobs, you know, a lot of jobs, and, you know, it's hard to gain that trust with people, especially in this business, because it is such a, you know, you're hot right now, then you're not, right? Like it's, right? Coach just won 9 games. He was the hottest thing in America. He lost 3 games or won 3 games, and then everybody's like, Coach is terrible, right? So football is so shaky like that. It's hard to gain trust because you're like, you always got to watch your back. You always got to be on your toes. And for Coach to be like, you know, trust me with practice planning and different stuff that we do organizationally in the building, you know, it's been big for me to see that, you know, because that's where one thing that I have to work on, right? Like, I'm not big on, you know, putting my hopes and dreams in someone else's hands. Even if I do trust them, I'm like, you know, so to see Coach give me, you know, some autonomy to do some things and run some things, it's been great.
That's Brennan Marion, the offensive coordinator. Pretty good lineage where he has been, some big boy schools, and now with Deion at Colorado.
Yeah, he's a really interesting pickup, as I talked about yesterday. I think he's one of the main keys to unlocking Colorado if they're going to be successful this year. If Brennan Marion doesn't have a good year, I don't see any scenario where Colorado has a good year, because then to be winning games, it would have to come defensively, and he is much more of a sure thing than their newest defensive coordinator, Chris Marv, is, who was leading Virginia Tech. And we know now Virginia Tech's had their own turnover, Marv included. So, yeah, Chris Marv wasn't even brought on to be the defensive coordinator originally. He's brought on to be a position coach and then had to be elevated to, or got elevated to DC when, what was it, Robert Livingston left. Mm-hmm. And so that was sort of out of nowhere, and they pivoted to just promoting Marv. So Marv didn't even coach a game as just the position coach he was expected to be. He just was hired and was around for a little bit, and then next thing you know, they need a DC, and here he is promoted. So I think the odds are, if they're going to have success this year, it's going to be with the experience and the kind of substance that we know Brennan Marion brings to the table. So I think that was a really good hire. I said yesterday, I think that was a type of splash they desperately needed this offseason, because without that, what are you excited about? You're excited about Julian Lewis. Part of the reason you're excited about Julian Lewis is because he's in Brennan Marion's offense now. Without that, you'd be saying what exactly about Colorado that you're excited about? I mean, the transfer is okay. Well, that's every school in America is excited about their transfer class, right? Every school is excited about their new roster and trying to figure it out. So it'd be one thing, and I know they finished relatively high, but it wasn't like they had the number 1 class in the portal and a bunch of 4 and 5 stars. They're like, damn, they're flipping this thing, and they're way more talented than they were. Well, they brought in some talented guys, but they also lost some really talented guys as well. So talent, I think at most is like break even. The coordinator's flipping for the 3rd time in 4 years. I don't see that's a positive necessarily, but if you want to say Brennan Marion's a positive, then okay, I'll give you that, because you feel like he's going to be a guy that does unlock some things. But yeah, without him in the equation, if it was just like same old OC, we bring in Chris Marv, he suddenly has to be DC, we get everything else is the exact same. I don't know how much you'd really be excited about Colorado if you weren't a Colorado fan, but because of Brennan Marion, just his reputation, you do think like, well, maybe there'd be something there. Like maybe he can do something for them. Maybe he and Julian Lewis can form a pretty lethal combination. So that's what you're hoping for, and that's what Deion is really praying that he can hang his hat on, I think, this year, because, yeah, they're not just going to be some dominant old school Big Ten defensive team that wins games that way. They're going to have to score points. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how that go-go offense works out in Boulder.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. hire for him. And it kind of takes a departure because Sean Lewis was that a little bit, but I don't think he and Sean Lewis meshed. And now Sean Lewis is on to different things. And I think that it's worked out better for everybody involved. But Brennan Marion is, okay, this guy's outside of Deion's circle completely. He's not coached with him before. He's not, played for him or been part of the NFL or any of that. So Marion represents a new start, and so does Chris Marve. So, yeah, they're going to have to score. And they're going to have to score because their roster building still has not been consistent. I think you used the term yesterday, Craig, 50 in, 40 out. Is that going to work every single year? This is going to be a test of it to see if you can do it and start to build some consistency without Travis Hunter and Shedeur and the other guys that came in on that first wave, which is to be a little expected when you get Deion Sanders, that there's going to be some big names that follow him, but you have to have substance year over year. That's what Colorado hasn't been able to have just yet.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a guy that's a top player in the draft, he's there for a year and brought him along with him. Shedeur was a good college quarterback, not great, but good, productive. And then who knows what his career is going to be with the NFL. He's got to marinate a little bit and get some snaps. He's gotten some. Will Muschamp, he has been a part of the following college football programs since 2001 in some capacity: coordinator, assistant, head coach, LSU, Auburn, Texas, Florida, South Carolina, and Georgia. He has been 25 years. He's been a part of some big programs in some capacity. He is now back in Texas. He today met with the media for the first time and discussed some of his goals and what he wants to see from his defense.
So if you don't thud at practice and you don't throw your face in the fan at practice, and that means you're probably not going to be a good tackler. So if you don't thud at practice, that means you're not going to be a good tackler. And the best defenses I've been a part of, they tackled extremely well. And right now in offensive football, you better be able to tackle and play in space. So we got some guys, not many, they don't want to thud at practice. I call it a turn down. If you turn down too much, you won't get on the bus to go to the game. You'll be watching it from home. So if you don't thud, you won't play. That's what this means. It's very important to me.
He's fiery. It all depends. The defense has not been the problem over the last year at times, but they've been pretty good. He is a fiery guy, and usually you want defensive coordinators with that kind of passion. He's won pretty much everywhere he's been. He was with UT in 08, 9, and 10, and then moved on when the Mac Brown coaching staff was changed. But he is back, and I guarantee you there's probably not one single UT fan that didn't love the hire of Will Muschamp.
No, it's gone over like gangbusters. Apparently, because I was a little bit reticent. It might be everybody in the country but me thought it was a home run, and I still think it's a really good hire. I just didn't think it was a cure-all. But, man, he is so southeastern United States in his accent. It's crazy.
Do you think he's ever said it just means more? Do you think that man's ever chanted
no,
SEC?
But he's got a tattoo on his ass that says it, I'm sure.
I mean, he probably does, honestly, because outside of his gig at Texas and 1 year in the NFL, this man has been in the SEC since 2001. That's all he's done outside of those 4 seasons, and I say that's all. I mean, that's 4 out of 25 years that he was not in the SEC. So, yeah, you think he's ever had the debate about which conference is the best?
Well, when he was at Texas, they were a part of the Big 12.
Besides the Texas years,
I know,
and besides the year in the NFL, because I'm not counting them. My point stands that for 21 out of the 25 years, he's been in the SEC. And if you want to count the Texas years, now that those count as SEC, well then, okay, 24 out of 25 years. Mm-hmm. So yeah, my point was that. But he's a fiery guy. He's clearly a guy that motivates. And is somebody that the Texas fans love. So I think when they saw that hire come down and the rumors start to pop up, that was a possibility. It was very exciting. And then for it to be confirmed and true, and now to have this guy paired with the offensive genius and Sark and the the golden boy in Arch. I mean, it's all coming up Texas, and only adds more fuel to the expectations that we're not doing this. Oh, well, it's about next year thing this year. We're doing like, no, it's this year. You got Will Muschamp as your freaking defensive coordinator, and you've got Arch Manning going on his third year in college and his second year as a starter. You've gone and gotten some of the best players in the portal. And I think, yeah, for Texas, it's not natty or bust because it's very difficult, but it's playoff appearance and a win or bust, or I think it's a bit of a letdown. Now, Texas fans, you're not a Texas fan. That's fine. Tell me your own expectations. I would hope that they are at least that, if not greater, because if they're not, then what the hell should Cam Coleman and Arch Manning and Will Muschamp and all these guys add up to at this point if we're not talking about at least winning a playoff game? So, yeah, I think for everybody that should, with all you've done this offseason and all you put together, that should be the bare minimum. And that's going to be a lot on the shoulders of Arch and Sark. And they've had their own struggles and ups and downs over the last year or two. But I think the defensive side, where they have been pretty good, there is a thought that they can be even better, and Muschamp's the guy to unlock that for them. So if that's the case, then, yeah, Texas is looking mighty dangerous, and not just in the, well, what year is this? We're doing this again. No, and like you look at them and you go, why wouldn't they be the national champion? Like, why would they not be in that mix for a national championship?
In the mix, yes.
Yeah. Why would they not be? Okay, because they lose in the championship game to Ohio State or something, but why would they not be in the mix and deserve all this love? There's some off seasons where you can say, like, okay, this is clearly like a brand thing. This isn't one of those. This is like all the pieces are there to go win massive amounts of games.
I can say confidently, in my opinion, that if they have fixed their offensive line even 40%, like if it's 40% better than it was last year, then this should be a 10-2 team with one eye closed because of the other talent they have around it. Their offensive line is the reason they missed the playoff last year. Straight up and down. And then, look, you can say Pete Kwiatkowski and Steve Sarkisian, and that didn't mesh, and that had something to do with it. Okay, maybe. But if you want to trace back every problem this team has, it started with those five guys up front because they had several years of the same guys for the first time in forever. Tom Herman never had that. Charlie Strong never had that. Mac Brown was having trouble with offensive line continuity at the end. So they never really had that same kind of offensive line continuity. They missed on some guys, which everybody does. But if they fix the offensive line, because the running backs are there, when you've got Raleigh Brown and Hollywood Smothers, the wide receivers are there. They've added Cam Coleman. They always seem to make tight ends better.
Emmett Mosley's back along with
Emmett Mosley's back. Yeah.
With Wingo?
Yeah, with Ryan Wingo. Yeah. So you've got that. The tight end, it doesn't matter to me, and this maybe goes back through almost every era of Texas football. If you were a tight end, you're going to Texas, you're probably going to be even more productive than you even thought you're going to be. You could be a 5-star tight end and somehow have 6-star production because they've always done really well with that. Defensively, Muschamp is there. They already had a lot of defensive talent. They've managed to, the year they were in the playoff, they lost a ton of guys off that defense, and they dropped, they went from the third best defense in the country statistically to the 13th, which is almost a rounding error when it comes to statistics in a year. So yeah, I think they're out of excuses on that. And I would think that they've probably improved that offensive line greatly.
Well, they added to it. They brought in some new bodies, and some guys get a little bit better with experience. But they've got people, and Sark's even pretty much all but said this. I'm not going to quote him, but that they understand that this year, not that there are no excuses, because you could have injuries and whatever else, and some of the teams you play might be a lot better too that maybe you weren't expecting. But I think this is playoff or bust. But playoff and get a round into it, or it's going to be, I don't want to say a failure, but it would be a huge disappointment. No question.
And maybe I just misunderstood what you were saying about Muschamp, but he left for the Florida job.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you said he left after Mac got fired. And no, he left for the Florida job.
But Mac's staff was gone. He was a part of the head coaching jobs in other locations. Yes.
Yeah, no, he was the coach in waiting, but he left to go take the Florida job because Mac was still there, is what I'm saying. It wasn't Mac got fired and then Muschamp was gone as a result of that. So I was just clarifying.
That's what I meant. What I was talking about is you said all those SEC schools, and that's all he's done for 24 plus years, other than you don't count the UT years. Right before that, you can. All right.
But yeah, no, they're I mean, if I'm a Texas fan and I'm not trying to be like over the top, like first round bye, SEC title game appearance, bare minimum, certainly bye, or if you're playing in the first round, at least one playoff win. And then after that, I know you can be getting greedy, but that's like my bare minimum expectation for them. And not like my expectations put any additional pressure on them. But I just think with what you've done through the portal, what you've done as far as feeling like you've upgraded your defense and what you have at quarterback and the weapons around him, and they hit the offensive line heavy in the portal as well, and got a gaggle of guys to improve that area, then yeah, I think you're thinking national championship and you're thinking playoff, and you're not thinking anything short of that if you're a Texas fan this year.
No, I think that they're loaded, and it's not just because of the logo. One quick other note in football. Shane Beamer of Virginia Tech was asked about the transfer portal. What players will he pay attention to? How will he handle it? And I know he's got a little bit of this and that, but I love this answer. Here's Shane Beamer.
Get it. There's a financial element at play. I understand that. But if I ask you what's important to you and what are you looking for in a school, and you tell me whoever's going to give me the most money, which I've had players tell me that, probably not the best way to endear yourself to me wanting to bring you in this program. Not that money's not an aspect. It is. I get it. But if it's the reason you're choosing to come to Carolina, don't come, because a year from now or 6 months from now, whenever the portal's open again, you're going to be in my office again for seeing who's going to give you the most money, So trust me, we're going to be competitive, and I get it. There's people always talk about, money's not money. Money doesn't matter, money matters. And I understand that. But if it's the only reason that you're really choosing to come to a school, this probably ain't the place for you. So don't be a prick and have things that you want to come to Carolina for other than just who's going to give you the most money, or any school. And I would think most coaches would probably say that.
Shane Beamer, Virginia Tech.
Said like a guy who clearly is not going to be outbidding a lot of people for prospects. That's who says those types of things? The folks who don't have the most money. But I do think besides that, his point is valid. I mean, it shouldn't be all about the money. And I think especially when you're talking about a team sport like football, that if you're just going for dollars, and it probably isn't going to work out well. Like there's got to be an element of you want to be a part of the culture and the team and the place and all of those things. Like sure, you can go and never take a class in person and still be okay. But I do think there's the team aspect. So if you're just a dollar chaser and you're not buying into the rest of it, then yeah, it doesn't amount to much other than to your bank account. And for some guys, that's all it's about. So for them, great. But for South Carolina football, that's not going to do them much good. So yeah, I think he's somebody who's probably not able to cut the highest checks. And so he's recruiting there a little bit, but he's also, I think, stating the logical and the obvious of if we want this to be like the full meal deal experience, then it can't just be who's paying me the most money.
Yep.
That won't find you the best fit.
Refreshing to hear a coach. He kind of popped in the P word at the end, but Shane Beamer and Virginia Tech, the Hokies, and what he says to players.
South Carolina.
Oh, my God. That's right, because I'm thinking about who?
Frank Beamer.
One of the original GOATs.
Yeah.
Golly, that's what happens when you start getting Social Security, your age, and everything else disappears.
I think it's just good advice for life not to do anything just because of the money. Or if you're going to do something just because of the money, it better be short term and a lot of money in a short amount of time, so that you can say, like, look, this was just 2 weeks of my life, but I made $100,000. It sucked, but I made $100,000. If you do it for a prolonged amount of time, which in college should at least be 2 or 3 years, if you really want to get better, then it should be okay. There's a financial component to this, but there is, am I going to be a better player in person and happier with my life at this school? If that's South Carolina, if it's Auburn, if it's Memphis, if it's LSU, wherever, that should be the whole decision. The problem does come, and look, you can ask any professional athlete this. How many guys have regretted going to a place that just gave them a gigantic, huge pile of money, and then that place didn't win? And you're like, well, I've already paid $25 million out to my agent. What would be another $7 less to be playing in, with the Mariners because they want to win now.
Yeah,
as opposed to the
being a
White
part
Sox.
of a winning culture, team,
Yeah.
playoffs run, whatever, you're going to get more money in the end because of endorsements and other things that you might get. So you want a combination of both. You would like to get a combination of both. When we come back, Chad Brendel covers Cincinnati. What are the Bearcats? What's happening with them during spring and more? Coaching change in men's basketball. We will have him. He's next. And this is 365 Sports. And Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it. Fastest growing pizza brand in America. Marco's Pizza, 5 locations here in Waco. Fastest growing pizza brand because, well, it wasn't just a handful of years ago. There was no Marco's Pizza. But now they have great specials online. Go to marcos.com, and they have all sorts of, like the pepperoni, the all meat, among others, Magnifico. Magnifico is what they want me to use that word, and I just can't, but I did. So Marco's Pizza with Bob Mock. You want a pizza? Order it online. Pick it up on your way home. They deliver it to you at your home or even the office because Marco's Pizza, marcos.com, pizza lovers get it.
My go-to guy. Can you fix my smartphone?
Yes.
Do you have car batteries?
Yeah.
What about golf cart batteries?
Of course.
Battery from a G-Fob?
Absolutely.
My boat?
Huge variety.
Toy boat?
Sure.
Motorcycles?
You bet.
My apartment building?
Whole building.
Do you have batteries for my party lights?
Yeah.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
We're celebrating the Declaration of Deals at Allen Samuels in Waco. Right now, get $11,000 off a new Ram 1500 Lone Star, plus 2.9% for 72 months. Cash in on $11,000 off a new Ram 2500 Lone Star Crew Cab, or choose 0% for 36 months, plus no payments for 90 days. Feel secure with America's best full-size truck powertrain 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty at Allen Samuels.
Come by, let's be friends.
Bold are the adventurous. Determined are the leaders. Faithful are the healers. At Baylor, you'll find your calling, your people, and your purpose. Dare to be you, indeed.
It's time to compete against yourself, finding too many excuses not to work out combined with bad eating habits, and Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness can help reach inside your competitive soul. Discipline, getting results you've only dreamed about, personal training, group exercise classes, and even a tanning bed, world-class tennis facility, and pickleball courts and lessons available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, spacious, clean workout rooms, free weights, state-of-the-art technology, weight training equipment, and no intimidation. It's time for you to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, your bank for life.
You got batteries for my side-by-side?
Yes.
Replace my flashlight?
Sure thing. What about my business?
Oh, good one.
100%. Batteries for my fleet of trucks?
Cat floor scrubbers?
Yes, and fire panels. We have pallets of batteries.
Well, what about...
As your go-to guy, if it needs a battery, we have it.
Well, that's all you had to say.
Could have led with that.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
This 3 o'clock hour is brought to you by QC Kinetics. Feel better, move better, live better with regenerative medicine using your body's own healing abilities for natural pain relief. No surgery, no drugs, no downtime. With locations in Dallas and Houston at QCkinetics.com. Now it's time for 365 Sports.
Brendel with us, 365 Sports. Craig Smoke and Paul Catalina. David Smoke, and he's from Bearcat Journal, covers Cincinnati athletics like a glove. Chad, thank you very much. It's been a while. We appreciate your time. What, in your opinion, is the temperature around Cincinnati football as they are in spring football?
That's an interesting one because they had a disastrous end of the season. And they lost a lot. Brendan Sorsby's at Texas Tech. You got probably 6 guys that might get drafted. coming up here in a couple weeks. There was a lot to replace. I mean, I think people are optimistic about the portal class, but as a whole, like the optimism is very cautious right now because there's a lot to replace, and they didn't exactly finish strong this year. So they're going to have to earn some trust back this season.
Chad, how hot will the seat get fast for Scott Satterfield if there is a slow start?
I mean, the thing is, you've got 3 pretty winnable games to start the season. Boston College, an FCS game, Western Carolina, and then Miami of Ohio. If you start slow with that, it's going to get ugly pretty quick. We don't know exactly what the Big 12 stuff is going to look like yet, but, a lot of they've got – it's so hard, guys. You know this. Like, every year they bring out the preseason rankings, and every year, by the end of the year, they're turned upside down. That right now, the way it's looking, they play a bunch of teams at the top and a bunch of teams at the bottom from where the projections are. So there could very well be a path to a pretty good season there. But man, if it starts slow, people are gonna get grumpy real quick, fellas.
Yeah, Chad, I mean, it's the Big 12, Chad. So it's like last year, it was backwards. The expectations in a lot of ways, outside of like Tech, obviously, and a couple of others. But who the hell knows, quite frankly. So this Brendan Sorsby guy, you may have heard and talked about him a bit.
Never heard of him.
Yeah. So just how do you feel like they've managed the departure? They go and get J.C. French. They've got a couple of other guys, Samaj Jones, for example. How do you think Cincinnati pivoted when that came down, and just how they've sort of reacted to all of it in trying their best to move forward?
I think they definitely had a plan. And, based on what we're seeing from spring practice, J.C. French has been pretty good. He's a guy that's played a lot of football, started a lot of games. I think in the Satterfield offense, the thing that intrigues me probably the most, he seems to be a guy that processes quickly. Not necessarily, this is not a slight at Brendan Sorsby in any way, but Brendan Sorsby's a look for the big play guy at times, and a guy that I think went in and out of rhythm because he was, pretty hell-bent on, I'm going to push the ball down the field, I'm going to make a big play. And it got him at times where he would go cold and he couldn't get back on track. What I've seen so far with French is a guy that's going to pull the trigger if the second read is open for a gain of 6 yards, he's going to throw it. And he's not going to wait to see if the third or fourth option, gets down the field and can make a play over the top. With as much as Cincinnati's going to run the ball, and I think the running back room is going to be really good, guys. As much as they're going to run the ball, I think having that guy that can get you into 2nd and 3, 3rd and 2, I think that's going to have a lot of value in Scott Satterfield's offense. So that's what I was looking at when they got French. A guy that can take the snap, read the defense, get the ball out, keep the chains moving. And so far, that's what he's shown. So I think they've done a pretty good job there. Now, obviously we're a long way from the season getting started, but so far, I think he has demonstrated the things I was looking for when they went into the portal for a new quarterback.
Cincinnati sued Sorsby because of the contract he signed with Tech because of what he had. In the end, like Sam Levitt's at now LSU, it happens. Players move around. What is the thermometer on how Cincinnati Bearcat fans think of Brendan Sorsby?
I don't think there's a lot of ill will. I think the contract stuff could have and probably should have been handled better. Sorsby got a better deal at UC because he agreed to that buyout. You took advantage of it. You used it for your benefit. Pay the buyout and keep it moving. Tech absolutely knew when they recruited Brendan Sorsby that this thing was in place. Now I get it, the way that these court cases go, the courts don't exactly have the NCAA doesn't exactly have a stellar record in winning these court cases. So I'm sure they think, we'll take the opportunity to see how low we can knock this thing down. But look, Sorsby had a really good 2 years at Cincinnati. He's going to get booed, of course. When did you know that game's homecoming this year?
Well, I did not know
the Cincinnati. The Cincinnati Texas Tech game is homecoming at UC. So he will get a hostile reception, but I don't think there's really a whole lot of ill will towards Brendan Sorsby.
Do you think you said the running backs room is going to be really good? How good? It's one of the things I think Satterfield is really good at. How good do you think it's going to be? Like, are we talking like a 70-30 split in the offense of run to pass?
No, I don't think it'll be that drastic. I mean, Satterfield's offense usually likes to be around 50-50. I could see it tilting as much as 60-40. But I think that would be more if they had a running quarterback before you would see something like 70-30. I think French can run, but I don't think he's a guy that you're, relying on to tuck it and take off. So probably 60-40. I really like, they've got a guy that played towards the end of the year named Zion Johnson, who's got some toughness between the tackles. And when he gets a gap, he can really, really run. Jabrian Payne, who was, kind of in line 2 years ago to be one of the main guys at Notre Dame behind Jeremiah Love, got hurt, fell out of the rotation. They had other guys step up. He's healthy now. He's had a good spring. And then they've got a couple other guys, a guy from out in the West Coast. I can't remember if it's Stanford or Cal. There's too much stuff going on right now for the transfer portal. But a guy named Cole Tabb, who had a really good freshman season as well. So they've got a stable of backs that I think that really are going to be able to kind of be the foundation of the offense. And they've got, I think, 3 draftable guys on the offensive line. One's Evan Tangestal, who a lot of people are putting as a preseason All-American at one guard. And then it'll depend on what they do with Taron Tayo. He was at right guard last year. He might play center, but one of those 2 spots. And then they have a great left tackle in Joe Cotton. So the offensive line is going to be there. That leads me to believe, again, the running game will be really sound. And they're going to lean heavy on it, and they should. It's that talented.
Chad, what's getting more attention amongst Cincinnati fans, spring football or a new basketball coach and, as you mentioned, a crazy transfer portal?
A new basketball coach and a crazy transfer portal. And I don't know how much you guys know, but everybody loves like somebody with connective roots to the past, right?
Oh, yeah.
Jared Calhoun is that. He started his career as a student assistant under Bob Huggins. He went to West Virginia and worked with Huggins there. He's good friends with Mick Cronin. There's just a lot of connective tissue from Jared Calhoun to this Cincinnati program. And he's been excellent everywhere that he's been, from the D2 level to Youngstown State to Utah State the last 2 years. So there is a ton of excitement for Jared Calhoun. And I mean, let's face it, guys, Cincinnati from Huggins to Cronin to, as much as we didn't see the success that you maybe thought under Wes Miller, his team's played great defense. Cincinnati has been a defense-first program for most of my 48 years. And Jared Calhoun's an offensive guy. His defense has gotten better over the years, but he's a guy that can really, really coach offense. So Cincinnati's going to have a little bit different look. And I think the fan base is just excited for something new. And it's going to be pretty much an entire roster turnover, which people love that. So, there's a lot of excitement leading towards basketball right now. The Bearcat Journal basketball message board is humming. If I turn away for 20 minutes, I'm like, damn it, now I got to moderate 50 posts.
Good for Bearcat Journal, though, I would imagine, having all this
great
turnover.
for Chad.
Chad, Jizzle James, Sincere Harris, and Mustafa Thiam already all in the portal. Of those, what? Yeah. And I guess there's more. There's probably more coming. You've got some guys graduating there that have finally run out of eligibility, which never seems to happen anymore. But of those three guys, is there anyone that they would want back, or is this maybe better that Jared Calhoun pretty much has a clean roster to start with?
I think we're going clean slate. I've said from the start, somebody on the message board said, what would you set the over under at? I said, I'd set the over at 1.5 guys returning and take the under confidently. That's just how it works now. Like, if there's not over half of the players in college basketball are in the portal.
Crazy.
That's insane. It's insane. So you just bet on new coach. You're going to have a whole lot of turnover. So that's what I've been anticipating, because I just think that's how these things work now. That's how it's kind of played out so far, that they're going to have a whole new roster. I mean, look, I think Mustafa Cham's going to be one of the 10, 15 best players in the transfer portal. I'm sure that they would maybe love to have kept Mustafa Cham, but guess what? He's probably going to cost $4.5 million. And if you're starting over and completely rebuilding a roster, do you really have the luxury of spending $4+ million on one guy? I don't think you do. So, that part is tough, because he's really good. And I think, is only a sophomore. I think there's a very bright future for him, probably at a blue blood somewhere this upcoming season. But, you gotta do the math, and the math says you're probably not in a place where you can have a guy that's going to take, especially a center that doesn't have his ball the ball in his hands a lot. You're not probably in a place to take a $4.5 million guy right now.
Yeah, Chad, I was just looking today that, Pop Isaac's back in the portal. Of course, PJ Haggerty, as soon as the portal opens, it's like, well, that's where I live, is in the portal. Rob Wright's back in the portal. So there are some guys that that's where they want to live. They like it. It's the nature of it. It's a 1-year deal for 80% of college basketball.
To be fair, if I could just walk through a door and get an automatic pay raise, I'd probably walk through that door quite a bit too. Yeah, crazy.
But which door is that, gentlemen?
The portal door. I can't seem to find it.
It's not in the podcast business or the website. Yeah.
Unless your last name's Kelsey.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. They are the ones who invent that. So when Calhoun was introduced, I thought that Bob Huggins being there, he was recognized and hugged him, and just how much did that make everybody feel great about not just the hire, which they did, but having Huggy Bear there too?
This city still loves Bob Huggins, and Bob Huggins loves that this city still loves Bob Huggins. It was like I said, it's just part of bridging that gap. It's part of linking this new coaching staff, this new era of Cincinnati basketball, back to an era where they were competing for championships and being ranked number 1 in the country and going to the Final Four and having the number 1 pick in the draft and all those things that go with that era. It certainly is something that makes the fan base feel really, really good and really connected to the new staff. So, it's a big piece of it that I think everybody really enjoyed.
Okay, one more thing. You mentioned that he's friends with Mick Cronin. That's not bad to have him having your back, right? I mean, so how much did you ever get to know him, and is he what everyone thinks he is?
I would not be where I'm at in this business if it was not for Mick Cronin.
Okay.
Mick remains a very good friend. Mick used to let me into. Mick didn't let anybody into practice. I've seen Mick kick his dad out of practice before.
Not surprising.
I probably watched 1,000 UC practices over those 13 years because Mick Cronin let me in and trusted me and gave me access that, nobody really else had in the city. So Mick and I have stayed really close. I was just out in LA. Unfortunately, he was at Del Mar. I don't know if you guys know this. Mick owns a ton of horses, or owns, race horses. And he was at Del Mar getting ready for one of his horses to race. But we were texting while I was out there. We text all the time and keep in touch. And not only was Mick instrumental helping Jared, understand the job and what was involved in the job, Mick also had a big part in talking to John Cunningham, the athletic director, and selling him on Jared. I just don't know in today's landscape where else that happens. A guy that's no longer your coach is coaching 2,500 miles away, is trying to win a national championship, but is on the phone with the new coach at his old school or the potential new coach at his old school, the AD at his old school, and really has a hand in stewarding this thing forward. It's just a really unique thing how much Mick loves not only the city of Cincinnati, but the University of Cincinnati. It's very genuine.
That's awesome. Chad, great to have you on. It's great to have you. It's been a while. We need to get you on again. Maybe.
Hello?
Are you there? Chad Brendel, Bearcat Journal, with us on a lot of things Cincinnati, a lot of it basketball with the coaching change from Jared Calhoun as they move on. He's great to have. He reminds me of the Midwest version of our buddy Softy in Washington.
Yes.
He is Softy Mahler in Cincinnati, or Softy is Chad Brendel in Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see the similarities. I always enjoy talking to Chad, and I think the changeover from Wes Miller to Jared Calhoun sounds like it did a world of good for the Cincinnati fans out there, just to have something to get excited about as far as this portal season and just hoops moving forward. I know there was a time where he thought Wes Miller would be able to stick around, and then they just stumbled a bit too much down the stretch. And I think to go ahead and make that move and bring in a guy who obviously knows Cincy really well is something that should benefit them. And at bare minimum, it'll give them a good little time of excitement about what kind of roster he can put together. That's always fun as a fan when you got a new guy come in and you got all this new, and it feels like they kind of needed that. Football wise, I think he's cautiously optimistic, as one should probably be when it comes to most every team in college and especially in the Big 12. I think there's every bit of a chance Cincinnati could go win 8 games if J.C. French turns out to be like just a real stud, as they barely make a bowl game, as they win like 4 games. I think they're anywhere in that realm, and anything above that or below that would be more shocking. But I think that's the case for like most Big 12 teams outside of Texas Tech or BYU, where you go like, all right, it's 10 wins or bust, basically. Maybe Arizona State feels slightly in that same conversation, or maybe one other team would feel that way, but everybody else is like, maybe make a bowl game, maybe win like 9 or 10 games. And it's just a crapshoot on who those teams will be. And as we mentioned during that interview last year, yeah, Tech was the obvious choice at the top. BYU is pretty easy to choose as well. Beyond that, though, I mean, Arizona State wasn't quite what everybody thought they would be, because all the voters just go like, what happened last year? All right, that'll happen this year. And then they just change it around a little bit. So there were a lot of teams last year that, when we saw 2 years ago, what the list looked like, the preseason list was completely backwards from what the expectations were. Last year, probably not as dramatic, but yeah, it's a crapshoot, especially in the Big 12 when there's so many teams that are just even. It's not that there's like the elite and then there's a drop off. It's just that there's a lot of evenness, and now maybe there's a couple of elite teams, but teams like 3, 4, 5 through 13 are probably all about in the same ballpark somewhere together.
Well, it's easier to vote on how you think a team is going to be 1 year later when they lost 11 seniors and 3 guys to the draft, as opposed to even a good team could lose 25 guys, and 8 of those guys could be guys that only saw play a little bit, but they were about to hit their stride and they're gone, especially in the Big 12, where say you played the last 7 games as a starter, you had a really big run, you decide, you know what, I'm going to jump in the portal, and all of a sudden you're at LSU with Lane Kiffin, and I'm TCU, and I thought I'm going to have this badass linebacker in his redshirt sophomore year, and like, oh no, he went to LSU. So it's really hard to say for any of the teams. Like, you can say, okay, well, I think Tech's going to be good. BYU returns their quarterback. These teams, do this. We think Oklahoma State will be better, but how much better is really tough to say. But for the most part, it's totally a blank slate for everybody, and this is almost in every league year to year. I mean, how close was Texas? Texas was 9-3 last year. Smokey, how close were they to being 7-5?
Texas?
Yeah.
The Mississippi State game,
the
Kentucky game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they
also not far from being in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's the hair's breadth, the tightrope that everybody lives on in college football now, that you are 9-3 at Texas, but you could have easily been 11-1 or 7-5.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Appreciate him. You talk about a guy eats, drinks, and sleeps Cincinnati Bearcats football. He does. He was in a little bit of that Miami of Ohio. Would anyone play him? That thing when we had the coach on, who was great. Chad reported that no, Miami of Ohio was offered a chance to play, but they wanted more money. And it back and forth.
Play Cincinnati?
To play Cincinnati. Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure that was a nice PR move by Miami of Ohio, but there were a lot of people that shot through some of that pretty quickly. And like, well, you could have played some tougher games, but regardless, that worked out how it worked out. Miami of Ohio had a great season, and now Cincinnati's got a lot of excitement about Jared Calhoun and what he can do with that basketball program. But it sounds like a good time to own a website with a program that's busy in the transfer portal, because that's all the rage right now is portal talk.
It's gold. You get a coaching change or anything like that. Okay, when we come back, we're going to look a little bit to the NFL draft. At 4:25, Art Strickland from Augusta National. Craig's off the radar. And today we at 5 o'clock, Matt McChesney, former Colorado football player on the Buffaloes, Dion and company. And this is 365 Sports. It is Stonewood Dental. My dentist is Dr. Steve Childress, and Stonewood Dental has done a great job. I went and started to go see him during COVID. Took care of a few things that I needed to take care of. When there's a liner we have on this show about all the things they do, I'm like, did that. Because your dental work, if you're not careful and you don't take care of it, it's not just brushing your teeth or whatever. You got to be careful as you get older, or next thing you know, you got 2 or 3 things wrong. And he told me, sat me down the first time, did some work on a couple of teeth that a little bit shaky, did a root canal, and then said, hey, this, and this, you better, or this, and this are going to be the next things we deal with. And he gave me a plan, and I appreciated that. And it's firm. Great guy. Love his storyteller. Love listening to him tell stories, but I like him a lot because of what he can do with dental work, and I appreciate that as a patient. Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas. There's not just Dr. Steve Childress, but a group of dentists for you there. And, of course, yes, teeth cleaning and more. Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas.
It's in the major leagues for 24 years, and let me tell you, I can feel it in my joints. Shoulders, elbows, and knees. Trust me, pain doesn't retire when you do. I tried everything to get rid of the pain. Nothing worked until QC Kinetics.
Baseball legend Roger Clemens and other patients are getting lasting relief with QC Kinetics regenerative treatments. No surgery.
I trust QC Kinetics. You should too. Let's commit to getting rid of all the pain.
Schedule your free consultation today. QC Kinetics. Better starts here.
With over 25 years of excellence in IT, Carrion Solutions is your trusted technology partner. From managed IT services to cutting-edge cybersecurity, our expert team delivers tailored solutions that drive success. Our portfolio includes products such as Veeam, Bitdefender, Microsoft, Cisco, and Fortinet. Call David Carrion and his team of experts. Call 888-522-2221 or visit us at carrionsolutions.com.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Hello, I'm Camille Johnson with Camille Johnson Realtors. We specialize in selling residential real estate agent all across our community, and we love serving all types of families. We have been in business at Camille Johnson Realtors for almost 9 years, and I have been a residential real estate agent for almost 40 years. And we love our partnership with 365. So thank you for partnering with me, and thank you so much to all of my clients who have made our company a success.
Join the celebration. It's 27 years for Richard Carr Motors, and we're celebrating with big anniversary savings. The GMC Sierra delivers strength, power, and a refined interior loaded with premium comfort and technology. During Richard Carr's 27th anniversary sale, find savings like $9,000 off all Sierra 1500 Pro and SLE models in stock. Thank you, Central Texas, for 27 years. Log on, call, or come by today to find big anniversary savings now.
Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Pepperoni Magnifico. Pepperoni Magnifico. Marco's Pepperoni Magnifico. Classic and crispy cut pepperoni, 3 melty cheeses, all on our fresh made dough. And starting at just $12.99 for a large, it's no wonder Marco's was named America's favorite pizza chain.
This 4 o'clock hour is brought to you by Stonewood Dental, your one-stop shop for your dental needs, specializing in teeth cleaning, fillings, crowns, sealants, root canals, IV sedation, extractions, implants, bridges, dentures, full mouth restorations, and bioaesthetic dentistry. Our priority is your comfort from the moment you walk through the front door. Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas. Now it's time for 365 Sports.
Greg Smoke, Paul Catalina, David Smoke, the NFL draft, which we had John Cooper yesterday. We've looked at most of the top 100 Big 12 prospects, but still a couple of more to get to. But here, released yesterday by theathletic.com, and Dane Brugler, who we've had on this show, his podcast before, are the top 10 players according to Dane Brugler. It's called The Beast. It's the entire draft, and it's got bios and more on these players. And, man, you just see those 4 Ohio State guys among the top 10. Now, before you like, wait a minute, well, I thought Fernando Mendoza was going to be the number 1 pick. He will be. These are the top 10 players based on just overall ranking, not projecting where they go, although most of these will be pretty close to where he has them ranked. And, of course, the Combine King, there were a few of them, not a lot of them, but Arvell reached the edge at Ohio State as the number 1 player in the NFL draft.
Yeah, I've seen that for not just Dane. I think that's as most consensus you get across the board. Now, Fernando Mendoza is going to be the pick by the Raiders. He is the only true first-round quarterback this year, and I think he's proven that he's worthy of a top 5 pick, and that just happens to be the number 1 overall pick to the Raiders. After that, it's kind of in the eye of the beholder. Who do you like personality-wise? Who fits your system? If I'm the Jets, I'm taking David Bailey or Arvell Reese. I think just depending on what you want to do, if you're Aaron Glenn, those guys are going to help you pass rush. Which one do you think fits the system better? I think Caleb Downs is going to be probably, in my opinion, the most accomplished player in this draft when all is said and done. I think he's the best. I thought he was the best all-around football player in the country when he was in college. I think he's going to be a great player. And it's weird about that is because he's a safety. He's 5th ranked by Dane Brugler. There's a good shot that he falls out of the top, into the top 15 instead of being in the top 10. But he could also be 3rd because you're like, you know what? I just love this kid. I know he's a badass.
Nick Saban called him the best player they had at Alabama. Of course, he transferred to Ohio State. That's how much he respected him.
I seem to remember conversations last year and previous years about the running back position and it's being devalued, but there's Jeremiah Love at number 2 on this list. And I know he's an outlier more than kind of that being the regular thing these days, but we've seen the running back make a resurgence, I think, in recent years. There's always a guy each draft now, it seems like, that's sort of unicorn of his class or the one that's worth that first round pick. And that is certainly Jeremiah Love this year, who I was asking John Cooper about yesterday. Probably doesn't make it to Washington, but there's a lot of Commanders fans that would love to see that happen. But yeah, Jeremiah Love's a freak. And I mean, I think the running back position is probably still in recovery mode a little bit, but it feels like it's rehabbed itself, right? Like it feels like Bijan and guys like that have helped. Like if you're truly a special talent, it doesn't matter that you're at this position that's maybe being devalued, that the talent still shines. And so that's the case with Jeremiah Love. To see Mendoza at 3rd overall was pretty interesting, because I don't necessarily think of like the beast and Fernando Mendoza, but I mean, his accomplishments were beastly. That's for damn sure. I know that last week, for whatever reason, I just could not escape this Ty Simpson storyline that was ongoing, because people just love talking about Dan Orlovsky so much, I guess. I don't know.
Or he likes talking.
No,
That's
people like
his
talking
job.
about him too.
Yeah.
I mean, that was people bringing up what he had to say about Ty Simpson more than anything. That's now transitioned to him and his son getting most of the video clips, I think. But there for a couple weeks, I mean, it was, can you believe what was said about Ty Simpson versus Fernando Mendoza and all that? But yeah, Mendoza here, number 3 overall guy by Dane Brugler. That's pretty impressive stuff, and it speaks volumes, because I do think Dane does a great job, and clearly he's a believer in Mendoza. Excited to see how that works out in Las Vegas ultimately. And then David Bailey, good to see him on there. Spencer Fano, though, as well, if you're looking at another Big 12 guy there from Utah at number 8. So, yeah, these are kind of the names we've been talking about quite a bit. I'm at that point of anticipation where I'm ready to see some picks go. I'm ready to talk about where these guys are, because it feels like every year the wait gets longer and longer for the draft.
It's 2 weeks later than I want it to be.
Yeah.
I want it to be this week.
Right.
Well, after the Masters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This coming next week.
Final Four,
Masters,
the Masters, and then the draft. Yeah.
But it's not. It's Final Four, Masters, nothing, draft. I would rather them move it up. I think also it's kind of like our elections in this country are really prolonged, because people used to have to get on trains and covered wagons and go town to town to do things. We don't have to do that anymore. We could do this all in about 3 months now. If we wanted to, it's just traditionally, it's how it's always been done. I think this with the draft, because they don't really do anything in May, that's why they push it back to the end of April in this whole month of thing. But I do think if you moved it up a week, it would be just perfect.
Yeah, it'd be great. It just feels like, it's about a week too far out to where it's like, all right, now I'm just pissed. Like, it's taking too long to get here at this point. And I've tried to give myself a diet of draft information, because as much as I love it, I don't want to overdose on it and then still have 3 weeks remaining to still be waiting on it
early, yeah.
So I've had the slow drip, but now it's time to ramp it up. And so when you see the beast arrive, that's one sure sign that we're getting closer. But yeah, I mean, all these guys listed here are all the guys that have been talked about more than any other. I think, Ohio State, which is an absurd collection of talent, to state the obvious. I mean, you look at this top 10 list and how many are Buckeyes, and just how many guys year to year they go and put in the draft. And then next year it'd be Jeremiah Smith, arguably the number 1 overall pick in the entire draft, depending on what kind of a year he has and who's picking at the top. But yeah, I would have no problem if the Redskins Commanders ended up with Caleb Downs, which I've seen in a couple of mock drafts. If they're going to miss out on Jeremiah Love, as it appears, then yeah, give me Caleb Downs. I'd be a happy camper. But they're in a spot where they're going to miss out on super elite guys, but still should be okay to get a pretty good elite guy. But a lot of that will just depend on what happens in front of them, which you're at the mercy of.
I'm of the opinion, and unless you just have such a dire need, which is you take the best player available, and you hope to God you have a high enough pick to where you can do that, and you better not miss. 4 players are quasi linebackers. 3 of them are edge, which is put pressure, strip sacks, put pressure on the quarterback. Reese, Bailey, and Bain are the edge rushers on the perimeter. And then Sonny Styles, another guy that just put on a show at the combine. There was that time when running backs were kind of getting shifted down, as you guys mentioned, but Bijan, et cetera. Now Jeremiah Love. But you don't see many that are just linebackers. That especially in the interior, but Sonny Styles is a freak, and he's not a combine freak. He's a fantastic player, and he's as high as number 4 on Brugler's The Beast list here that we're showing you right now.
Let me do a quick exercise with you two. I just ran just a mock draft of the first 7 picks, or first 6 picks before Washington. You're both Washington fans. The first 6 picks as generated by the NFL mock draft simulator on the Pro Football Network are Mendoza, Reese, Reuben Bain, David Bailey to Tennessee, then Carnell Tate to the Giants, and Francis Mauigoa to the Browns.
Carnell
Tate. Carnell Lake.
I'm thinking about the other guy.
He was a Steeler great.
That's right.
That's your second Social Security moment today.
No, I have more coming.
So
you took, who's the last one you took?
The computer took it.
Yeah.
Francis Mauigoa.
Okay.
So here's who you have available. I would assume that you would want to pick from. And these are the next 4 in order: is Jeremiah Love, Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, and Mansour Delane, the cornerback from LSU. If you guys are Adam P,
I'm getting Caleb Downs, bro.
You're getting Caleb Downs?
I think so.
Bigger need than Jeremiah Love, in your opinion?
I think you can go find another running back, man. Like if I get that badass dude on the back end of the defense, I think that would be what I would like more. But that, you know what, Paul, that would be a great problem to have. Would be like, are we picking Caleb Downs, or are we picking Jeremiah Love, or are we picking Sonny Styles, or are we picking they're in a spot where they should be good regardless of who goes in front of them. But I think I'm going Caleb Downs on that pick.
I remember what Nick Saban said, and he also even said that same year that Caleb Downs is the best player in America, and it wasn't last year; it was the year before that. You got to be careful, because if your running back doesn't hit, Caleb Downs, unless somehow he gets injured, whatever, he's not a real big safety, but he's a really good player, instinctive quarterback type knowledge, IQ. But it's tempting with Love, the number 2 pick or the number 1 overall prospect, and I think he's in the top 3 to 4 on everybody's list. They have the kid from Arizona. They gave him a couple of nice thrills,
Bill.
Bill. Yeah, Bill Krosky Merritt.
Yes,
Jacory Krosky Merritt.
Yeah, him. And then, but Love is, man, he's awfully special.
Why not just get Jadarian Price later on?
Yep.
Yeah.
If you want a badass Notre Dame running back, just get
the kid from
take
Lufkin.
Caleb Downs and then draft Jadarian Price in the next.
How about Notre Dame and the running backs this year? Showing it
Well,
off.
I mean, we just saw Lathan Wissington commit there, so as far as local talent here goes,
great place to go too.
And then they had another running back that committed right after him that was also a big time guy, I do believe. So yeah, they're pretty stocked at the running back position. But I don't know, Paul, what do you think? You think that's
I would go Caleb Downs,
Yeah.
and part of the reason is that, and because I don't think Jeremiah Love's going to be there. I think the Titans are taking him. No doubt. I think Caleb Downs will likely be there. I also think that 5 picks later, the Cowboys pick, and if Caleb Downs is there, they have to pick him. He's better than anybody else that would be on the board at that time, and they can figure out cornerback and defensive end a lot better down the line in the draft than they could getting a player like Caleb Downs, who they have not had at safety in a very long time.
Who's the corner from Tennessee?
Jermod McCoy.
Delane is rated above him.
Here's the best part about Delane, not coming off a torn ACL.
No, I know. Well, and we know that McCoy is, and so he's perfect for Dallas.
But yeah, exactly. So if I'm them, I'm taking Caleb Downs because Dan Quinn is so good with those kind of players too.
Yeah,
I mean,
and he can play.
Career,
he can play a lot of different places.
He could do so many things with Caleb Downs. So if I'm Dan Quinn, I'm taking the guy who fits me more. Now, if Jeremiah Love's there, this is a tougher question. I just don't think he's going to be there. I think he'll probably wind up with the Titans because they can't mess around with a young quarterback like that.
Now they do need to figure some things out around Jaden Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
The injury thing's enough of a bugaboo, but last year definitely a regression after an incredible rookie year, and injuries played a part in that. But I mean, all that waiting on Terry McLaurin to sign this new contract, by the end of the year, it's like Redskins are thinking of waiving Terry McLaurin. It's like, the what? Like all that drama just to maybe not even be there for a couple years. I mean, Deebo Samuel was a flash in the pan with them as far as just being around. I mean, he was a name pickup that had a few good moments, but ultimately didn't change the trajectory of the franchise like you were hoping maybe he would be able to do. I think just last year left you wanting a lot more, and it was not the follow-up that you anticipated and hoped for as a Washington fan. And to the point where, I mean, there's legitimate questions of like, how sturdy is, I mean, I know these were questions when he was drafted as well. He was always a skinny guy, but with all he went through last year, questions about him. So you do need to give him some help. They're moving on from Kingsbury. Like, what does that? What does the new OC want to do? I mean, how much say does he have versus Quinn's preferences defensively? We don't exactly know that, but one thing's for sure, you were bad enough to be in a good enough spot to where if you are having to pick between Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles and Jeremiah Love or some combination thereof, or throwing another name here or there on the top 10 list of Dane Brugler's beasts, then I think you should make out with a pretty damn good player regardless of who it is. But I'd be very excited about Love or Downs in particular.
I've seen some mocks have the Redskins Commanders taking Bain because the other ones are gone.
That one worries me a little bit because of the size questions.
The alligator arms or whatever.
I'll trust Dan Quinn to make the right choice for a defender.
I agree. All right. When we come back, we're going to hear from Art Strickland. His thoughts about the opening day, still playing at Augusta National. We just saw Fred Couples hit a couple in the drink on 15. Smoothest swing in the history of golf. We will have Craig's Off the Radar and Matt McChesney from Denver. His thoughts about Colorado, at least this year in the spring, and the change with Brendan Marion, his offensive coordinator, and all of the other things going on with the Buffaloes. And this is 365 Sports. QC Kinetics. Think about this. Let's say you need some treatment because of aches and pains, muscles, or even joints, and you've had steroid injections. And it might help for a day or 5 or even 2 or 3 weeks, but it normally wears off. And then you need another one in 6 months or however long it has to be before you have another one. How about using what is inside your body, your natural biologics, taking what is inside your body with your blood, stem cells, spinning it, and putting it back inside your body so you heal you. That's the whole thing of what QC Kinetics can do. If you have the aches and pains, and it's more than just you pop a couple of Advil or Tylenol, and you've done all the steroid and injections and more, and even there's now chatter that there might need to be some sort of surgery. Stop, at least give QC Kinetics and locations in Dallas and Houston, the numbers on the screen, give them a chance to discuss what they do by taking your natural biologics and spinning it and putting it back in your body to help you heal you. Think about that. That's what they can do. It's worked for me. I've had 4 treatments. I have one that I haven't even used because I haven't needed it, because the first 2 were drawing my blood, spinning it, putting it back in the lower part of my lower back. The third one was stem cells, taking it out of my back of my hip bone on the left side. That was unbelievable, and it worked. And then they the next one is kind of fertilizer to make sure it all continues to grow and get better. If you have been told you need surgery, but you have not at least given QC Kinetics a free consultation, please do so. Numbers 972-972-8610 in Dallas. At one of the locations, the one I go to is on I-75 Central Expressway. Houston, 713-913-5285. It can change your life instead of you going, damn, this is going to be the way it is for a long time. Don't give up. Contact QC Kinetics.
Petty Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway is now proud to offer you men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication. Once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help is finally here. Semaglutide. Affordable, highly effective. Google search Petty Clinic Waco and reach out to the Petty Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pettycliniclowt.com.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
When you play hard, sometimes you fall hard. Sports injuries require special treatment. At Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, our team of expert doctors provides athletes and active adults with comprehensive sports medicine care, diagnostics. Whether you're in high school, college, or beyond, we'll help you get back on the field. Call on the team physicians for Baylor Athletics. Call Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics.
I pitched in the major leagues for 24 years, and let me tell you, I can feel it in my joints. Shoulders, elbows, and knees. Trust me, pain doesn't retire when you do. I tried everything to get rid of the pain. Nothing worked until QC Kinetics.
Baseball legend Roger Clemens and other patients are getting lasting relief with QC Kinetics regenerative treatments. No surgery.
I trust QC Kinetics. You should too. Let's commit to getting rid of all the pain.
Schedule your free consultation today. QC Kinetics. Better starts here.
From the TFNB Your Bank for Life studio, this is 365 Sports. Presented by IdealMRI.com. Premium quality MRIs, convenient, affordable. That's ideal. And by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. We are Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, your insurance provider built by Texans for Texans. And we've been protecting families in our great state since 1952. TFNB, your bank for life, serving Central Texans since 1889. Now it's time for 365 Sports.
From Augusta National, I was waiting for that music in the background with Jim Nance. Art Strickland joins us for a quick hit as the first round continues on this Thursday afternoon. Art, okay, I saw the note where you went on the course and you got yourself, is that right? You got an egg salad sandwich pretty much right off the top?
Egg salad, only at Augusta.
So you don't do the pimento?
I tried it, gave it a fair try. Pimento is not, I don't knock people that like it. It's just not for me.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I've been there. I was fortunate a lot. Never had the pimento. I had the egg salad quite a bit, and everything is amazing. Is this the best stretch of weather leading into the tournament and during what is expected through the weekend that you've seen at Augusta in many years?
Absolutely. My first 1993, working for the San Antonio Express News, and I can't remember a better stretch of weather. When Zach Johnson won here, boy, it was 2017, it never 50 degrees the entire week. It rained almost every day. So it's a glorious place. But let me just tell you, Paul, Smokey, it is glorious weather this week.
Well, you mentioned 2007. That's when my father-in-law and my father were at the tournament. And unfortunately, we picked the one where they go. And you're right. We were wearing earmuffs and gloves and all of that. So I said yesterday, and this isn't like breaking news, but when you haven't won something, it can become a burden. It can become like pressure. And then Rory does win last year. Doesn't mean he's going to win, but he goes out in a smooth 67 today. Do you think he's playing with house money and mentally he's just like, okay, let's go play golf?
Absolutely he is. I talked to a good friend of mine, Alan Shipnuck, who just wrote a book on Rory that just came out. He predicted low 60s today, predicted 62. A little bit off on that, but yeah, it's the freest round of golf Rory's ever going to play because he has achieved his goal. He has done what he set out to do, and he did it in such dramatic fashion. So I think he's thinking nothing that happens this week is going to be tougher than what happened last year. Because, last year, you remember, he's in and out, he's in the water, he makes an incredible eagle, back and forth, has to go to a playoff and pulls it out. So, it's the old saying, Smokey, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I don't think Rory's ever been stronger, of course. And he proved that today, 67. And there's a great note. I don't know if you caught this on TV or you saw it, but they passed this out in the media center. The lowest score by a player trying to go back-to-back wins. So Jack, Tiger, and Nick Faldo, only 3 guys to go back-to-back. 67 is the lowest score ever.
Wow.
First round by a player trying to go back-to-back.
That's interesting. I did not know that. Thank you.
Sam Burns tied for first. Young guy, LSU guy, Art, and Sam Burns. What did you think about his round today?
Well, it's certainly a great, from Shreveport, certainly he's played one Colonial a few years ago. He knows how to hurt horses. The question always, can he do it? Great for him. Another guy, I don't know if leaderboard, Justin Rose. Nobody had more heartbreak last playing with Rory. 6 birdies in the final round. 6 in the final round. Still beat by playoff. So just great leaderboard. Spieth and Scheffler are both there. The cream has definitely risen to the top in the first round of the 90th tradition like none other.
The 90th. It's exactly right. Okay, so Sam Burns has not been playing well. You'd like to be able to kind of have a little momentum, but there's no rhyme or reason. Sometimes you can and you go play well. Sometimes you don't. But he had, I think, missed 5 consecutive cuts. Am I right, Art? Sam Burns, and he now is at the top of the board?
The note that I saw being passed out today in the media section. 5 cuts. Like I say, one at Colonial. I told him in Houston. I said, "How's your game?" He said, "It's struggling," but he's in there. Certainly the guys that struggle really are the first-time guys, and no one's a big fan of Johnny Kiefer than I am.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he shot 76 today, and it's in like 60, is the least surprising thing that's happened all day long, because it is just so incredibly difficult to play Augusta for the first time. And I'll send you my story in the Waco Tribune Herald. He made an eagle 13 when he was here for a practice round a couple weeks ago. He made a boat today, hit it in the water. So that just shows you Augusta will grab you.
He, of course, was at Baylor. He's having a nice year, and he's going to be a part of the tour, you would think, although you never know when you might all of a sudden lose it. What about Oberg? He's kind of scratching and clawing out there today.
Yeah, years ago, he's a pick to win, very trendy pick to win. And so I like Oberg a lot. Unfortunately, and hopefully no one remembers this, but unfortunately, I picked Bryson to do big things until he went mad scientist on me, and he builds his own pitching wedge in his backyard with a 3D printer.
Mm-hmm.
And shot 76 today. So, but there's only 2 sayings about the Masters that are proven true year after year. Number one is it's impossible for a first-time guy to win. And that's why Fuzzy winning 79 may last forever, because first-time guys winning almost impossible. Number 2 is the Masters doesn't start to the back 9 on Sundays. And that is a threat. And so if you think you know who's winning this year's Masters after the first round, well, you just need to sit around and wait a while.
Oberg, by the way, doubled 13 and came back with a birdie on 14. Paul?
Yeah, my first pick yesterday in our draft, Oberg, by the way. Brooks Koepka, he's now a PGA golfer again, back on at the Masters. Now he's played this. Do you sense a different vibe around Brooks Koepka now that he is back in the fold, or do you think that'll still take some time?
You know what? I consider Brooks Koepka and Patrick Reed with the same kind of positive vibe. Both those guys have left golf. Brooks is back now, and Patrick, I think, has to wait till the fall. But both those guys Patrick was in the media center on, I guess it was Monday, and he just said more relaxed, got a more peace about, a lot of people, remember Brooks grew up in, Patrick Reed grew up in San Antonio, played a lot of golf in Texas. And so a lot of those guys feel very relaxed. They feel like they're playing, for lack of a better word, real golf now. And that's not to denigrate people that took $100 million, because I might have done the same thing, but they feel like they're playing real golf again in real golf tournaments. And I think you see that reflected in their scores.
All right, a couple of more questions. Thanks for your time and that beautiful sweater you have with the Augusta logo, which is like Nike and Augusta. Those two logos are just phenomenal. How many of these have you covered now? How many of the Masters have you been as a credentialed media?
Oh, gosh. Because, I worked 4 years. I ran their website, or I helped run their website, masters.com. So I guess that counts as credential.
Sure.
And then, obviously I went with the Express News when I worked in San Antonio. I've gone, with other outlets. I've been working for Golf Week, Sports Illustrated, did the story on Johnny this week for the Waco trip. So I would say, credentialed media, probably 25, Smokey, probably 25.
Yeah. All right. So for those that have never been, even though you can tell them this, and TV cameras or even screens that we watch the game or the tournament on are better and better and better, but are the undulations on the greens something you can describe if you have not been there to see it live?
Oh, really? Okay, and that's why, like on 16, they will have their back hole, and they will be putting back to the hole, because they know that if they put it to the right, it's going to roll back to the left. One of the great things about Augusta is they put the pins in the same location every year. And so, like on Wednesday practice round, I watched Freddie Couples for a while, I watched Patrick Reed. They're putting to disc. Their Kenny brought little disc, which shows them, here's the Saturday pin placement, here's the Sunday pin placement. And that's why experience means a lot. Freddie Couples certainly hanging in there. Freddie Couples is, going to shoot better than Johnny Kiefer, and he's only 40 years older than Johnny, because he's been there so many times and he knows the course. And that's just the advantage of Augusta.
I have a problem, though, with Fred Couples has 3 consecutive double bogeys. I don't know. You're not able to watch. He hit the ball in the drink twice on 15, 16, and doubled 17. He's now 6 over. He's toast. It's over for him, because sometimes he gets worn out with his back anyway, in the way that you have to walk that course.
I wasn't aware of that. And that's a very tough course. And everyone I talked to who was in a position, they all said Tiger would have played this year. They said Tiger would have given it a go if he hadn't had these automobile.
No.
Walk, and that's why most people think Tiger will be on the Champions Tour, because as you know, on the Champions Tour, you can ride a cart. And as Joe LaCava said, Tiger's problem is not playing golf. Tiger's problem is walking. And so I think you will see him on the Champions Tour.
Yeah, he's got a lot of work to do on himself, and it's not the first time we've said that. All right, so tell everybody about your website and some of the special trips you have.
Sure. We've got 14 people here this year. We had 8 on Wednesday, and we've got 6 more today. A couple of doctors from Fort Worth, and a guy taking his son, his 2 son-in-laws from Dallas. So we're 14 guys going this year. We've got houses, we've got dinners, which we're getting ready to go to. We've got badges for every day, whatever day you want to go. And then, we're going to go to Cabot Links in Nova Scotia in July 21 through 25. Going to Northern Michigan. We're going to go to San Diego in August. So when it's 150 in Waco in August, we're going to be in San Diego.
Yeah. Man, that's great. In Northern Michigan, those courses they've done. Hey, man, great to see you. Love the time. 25 plus years, Art Strickland. And thanks for your time, and enjoy the rest of the week.
Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you. And if you and Paul don't get your FedEx egg salad sandwich, let me know.
Oh, yeah. No. Do it ground delivery. I want it to be perfect when it gets here after about 3 days and a weekend.
I made one yesterday, Art. I did.
You said that to us. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not doing the pimiento, excuse
Pimento.
me. No, it's pimiento. That's why I don't like it. But no, thank you, Art Strickland, with us, Golf Digest. He's writing for a lot of different newspapers and publications this week at Augusta National. Fred Couples, double, and double. I just saw him when he was in the fairway on 15. He hit it short. It dribbled back in. He is in free fall. When we come back, Craig Smoke off the radar. Matt McChesney from 247 and CBS about to start his own Back in Black podcast for them on Colorado football. Also an announcement about this show, 365 Sports. This is 365 Sports. Please hit the like button if you haven't. And thanks for your time. We have plenty still to come. It's time to compete against yourself, finding too many excuses not to work out combined with bad eating habits, and Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness can help reach inside your competitive soul. Discipline, getting results you've only dreamed about, personal training, group exercise classes, and even a tanning bed, world-class tennis facility, and pickleball courts and lessons available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, spacious, clean workout rooms, free weights, state-of-the-art technology, weight training equipment, and no intimidation. It's time for you to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Declaration of Deals is at Allen Samuels in Waco. Get $11,000 off a new Ram 1500 Lone Star, plus 2.9% for 72 months. And America's best full-size truck powertrain 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty at Allen Samuels in Waco.
It's time for Craig Smokes Off the Radar.
Welcome back to Off the Radar here on 365 Sports, and appreciate you being with us as usual. Let's get into some topics that are a little bit, as the segment goes, off the radar. And I want to start off with a sad story rather than end with the sad story. But it is a sad story, especially in Waco and for the women's basketball community, and that is the passing of Melissa Jones, former Baylor Lady Bears standout. She passed away, and it was announced just yesterday at age 36. Former guard for the Lady Bears from 2008 to 2011. She finished up her basketball career, actually joined the volleyball team for a season in 2012, and that's where her college career finished. But she apparently died Friday at her home in Commerce City, Colorado, according to her mother, Kathy Jones. There's been no cause of death released, and they're still working out how the funeral will go. But those details, I'm sure, will be passed along throughout Baylor circles in particular. Her mother, talking to KWTX, Kathy Jones, said that her daughter's time at Baylor remained a source of joy and pride. She was my most treasured gift from God, along with her three brothers, her mother said. And she reiterated that Baylor was the time of Melissa's life. She has so many fond memories and made so many beautiful friends there. She'd kept up with so many over the years. It's a beautiful thing. She also went on to say in this article that she kept up, Melissa Jones, with Kim Mulkey. And Mulkey actually releasing a statement to KWTX saying Melissa Jones left her mark on Baylor University, not just women's basketball. She was loved by the entire Waco community. Everything she did for us was full speed. She played the game the way every player should, always had energy, played hard, and was a great leader. Her teammates respected her because she represented everything. Her effort, her caring, her knowledge, and her toughness were unmatched. She was the glue that kept the team together through good times and bad. And so, she passed away, I guess, suddenly. I mean, certainly the news spread like it was very sudden. And just a lot of grieving and broken hearts at that news since that's come out in the last day or so. So rest in peace to Melissa Jones. I think I might have met her one time, but I can't even say that with 100% certainty because I'm just bad at remembering just little passings and goings. I definitely do know how impactful she was, how important she was to Mulkey, especially in the earlier years. But you guys would have a bit more to say on her, and I think knew her as well, right? To some degree.
She was from Colorado originally.
Yeah.
When she signed with Baylor, she was the glue to those teams during the Brittany Griner years. She was just such a clean soul. And I remember two things about her besides the fact that her motor ran all the time. When she dove on the court for a loose ball against Oklahoma and a player diving on the court for the ball landed on her head. It was not anything just a part of the game, and it blinded her in an eye, and it never was the same. Then after they had gone and won the Big 12 regular season and also the tournament, they played A&M a fourth time, and they'd won the first three. Remember, Paul, up in Dallas at the AAC and American Airlines Center, and A&M beat them. And she would not come out for interviews. Julie Bennett, of course, was media. She said, listen, she's just distraught. I've seen other players do that too, but she had the nicest, sweetest smile. And this is hurting the Baylor family.
I knew her fairly well for an athlete too. We have covered. We did some charity events together that she was involved in. My heart breaks because she was so bright and fun and nice and really fun to talk to. Like I thought about yesterday. It's like I wonder the first time that I met her that was in a different sense. I was doing the pregame walk around, and the women's basketball team was being honored that day. And I remember sitting there with Melissa, and I was going to do an interview with her, and she was like, "Hey, I gotta eat before we go in, otherwise I'm not going to get anything because they kind of run us through." And I watched her and very impressively scarf 3 cheeseburgers down.
Damn!
And it was amazing. I mean, they were training really hard, and so you know that. And I always remember that about her. She was just great. Whatever happened, and that's her family's business to share when they're ready for it. But she was really a wonderful person, and she was an absolute grinder on the court. And the world is going to miss her. If you knew Melissa Jones, you really did love Melissa Jones, and she was just a sweetheart.
I got a text from a friend of mine who plays golf, but he wasn't there on Sunday, and said, "Hey, have you heard this? I don't know details." And then I'm playing with Randy Robertson, and on the tee box, I went, "Did you know?" He goes, "Yeah." And that's all we said. And we continue to play on. And Randy goes, "It's so sad. She was beloved by everybody." She's one of the few players, 7 in that history and tradition of the women's basketball team to have their jersey retired. And she wasn't an All-American. She might have been occasionally a first-team defensive player on the Big 12, whatever. She wasn't an All-American, but her jersey was retired. Requisites where you have to be pretty good or whatever, plus you have to graduate, and she did.
Yeah, so Randy Robertson being Kim Mulkey's ex-husband
is a great friend of mine who plays golf with. I play golf with him all the time.
Well, very sad news. So rest in peace to Melissa Jones. And like we said a couple times now, a lot of people around the Baylor community in particular, women's basketball community as well, hurting. And so wanted to start off with that and make mention of that. Beyond that, I mean, all of it all else kind of pales in comparison, to be perfectly honest with you. And not the busiest day in the world or busiest week. It'd be a great week to be doing world news headlines. I'd have tons of stories we could talk about, but in the sports world, it's a little bit slower. The Masters taking the bulk of the attention, but I did think this was pretty cool. Connor Griffin, whose name you maybe have heard, or you're like, where have I heard that name before? Or maybe you haven't heard his name, but you're going to hear his name a lot because he is the all-star, well, not quite officially an all-star, but he is the star in the making for the Pittsburgh Pirates franchise, their 19-year-old shortstop who just made his major league debut earlier at the beginning of this season. We're in the opening days of it still to some degree, but Connor Griffin, the Pirates announcing yesterday that they've agreed to a 9-year contract with the 19-year-old, making sure that Griffin remains in Pittsburgh through 2034. There was not, at least last I looked, official details as far as the numbers go, but it was reported to be around $140 million and expected to be the largest contract in Pirates history, beating out Brian Reynolds' $106.75 million deal in 2023. But it locks down their second, I guess, most popular young star, because the first one would be Paul Skeens. But Connor Griffin, a guy that a lot of people are excited about, a guy with a pretty toolsy bag of tricks to use, a native of Jackson, Mississippi, has barely played any Major League Baseball, and they're already signing him to a 9-year contract. So, hey, man, go get your paper, boo-boo, as I always say. It was hilarious, though, to see Paul Skeens in a dugout being interviewed about this and saying something that got every Yankee, Red Sox, Dodger, the usual suspect fans' ears all perked up, because he made a comment, and I'm loosely paraphrasing here, but he was asked about the contract, and he's talking about how he hopes that at some point this will be like Griffin will find a normalcy, because it's been, you're 19, you're already in the majors making your debut. He had his first hit was the big double, right, or whatever, like a week ago. And then he's already turning around. He's barely played, and he's already signed a 9-year contract extension.
There's something with that, too.
I'm sure there has to be. Why else would you do that?
The possibility of a labor strike down the road.
Well, there's like a 95% chance that Major League Baseball's on strike.
So some of these guys are trying to get the money now, maybe take less, but get it now, because they don't know what the rules will be when they come back, if they end up having any kind of delays.
Well, I haven't dove that far into it, but that would make some sense, because what's the rush if you already have him under lock and key on a rookie deal? Why would you need to turn around, and he's played less than 10 games at this point, and you're like, all right, 9-year deal, second richest in Pirates history. But the funny part about it was Paul Skeens being asked about it. He's saying I hope the kid can find some normalcy or whatever. And then he says something that was very innocent, but you wonder how much in mind he had it when he said it. But he went on to say that Connor Griffin is going to be the face of the Pirates for the long-term future. And that's harmless till you realize, well, aren't you going to be the face of the Pirates? Why wouldn't you say we're both going to be the faces of the Pirates? You said specifically him. So what does that mean, Paul? And so now it's got everybody in a tizzy over Paul Skeens and already looking to get his next deal somewhere else as a Dodger or a Yankee or whatever he'll probably end up being. But Connor Griffin, get to know the name, because he's already got one of the biggest contracts in Major League Baseball signed this year.
Yeah, he's a stud. I mean, he's coming up. They've got young players. The Pirates have drafted really well. The problem with the Pirates is that they do that, and then the GM goes to the owner and goes, hey, should we pay these guys? And he's like, they're lucky to be here. They should do this for free. They get half off at Primanti Brothers, and 10% off Steelers tickets because of reciprocity. It's just been ridiculous.
The same in Minnesota, Tampa Bay.
It's just the fans deserve. Look, if you're going to buy a sports team, I understand that you need to make money as well. But the fans that you are charging, just like if you owned a restaurant, if you owned a haberdashery or anything, your customers deserve the best that you can give them. Now, and if you can't give them that and make your comfortable profit, go do something else. Buy a roller coaster. I don't care. But I do wish for the people of Pittsburgh, one of the great sports towns in America, that they can start with Connor Griffin and Paul Skeens. Henry Davis, the catcher, is really well thought of too. Braxton Ashcraft, the pitcher.
He's a local kid.
Yeah, local kid from here in Robinson. They've got guys coming up that are all really, really good. So build your team around that. Keep that core. That's what helps you win championships. Bring that back, because the Pirates in the 70s were the thing. They were the team.
Yeah, they won a
it was
couple
them
World Series.
Them and the Reds, really. It wasn't the Yankees. It wasn't that. It was the Reds and the Pirates, same division. And you had that greatness. Bring it back. The people deserve it. So Paul Skeens is not going to be in Pittsburgh, because Paul Skeens is going to get as close to $1 billion contract as maybe anyone has gotten. And that's just not going to come from them. That's going to come from a big money team.
I saw him pitch the other day, and he was nasty.
Yeah,
remember, he struggled in the World Baseball. He was nasty. Like, it was impossible to hit him.
No, he's one of the most fun players to watch in baseball when it's his day to pitch. He's absolutely electrifying and a lot of fun to watch. But yeah, Pittsburgh Pirate fans are going to have to just enjoy it while they can. And the good news is that Paul Skeens still has like 3 years left. I mean, this isn't one of those, he's gone in a year. And it kind of reminds me of like things, especially said on social media by quote unquote insiders. And they're like, just wait. And it's like, you're always waiting. It's like, it's one of those things where eventually you will have to be right, because there will come a point where something does have to happen. But like the Paul Skeens is getting out of here and everybody lose your minds and panic. And oh my God, Pittsburgh fans, he's got at least 3 years left. So, worry about it if you want to, but I mean, it would be on the back burner for me, because if it's that inevitable, like, just enjoy it while you can for 3 more seasons, and then he'll go be a Dodger or something. But hell, it's not happening right now, so enjoy it, and who knows what the future holds. But they've got a couple big time, big faces now with Skeens and Griffin, and then others that you mentioned as well. And then just real briefly, as we wind this down here, ratings came in for the national championship games. And I know I've been saying I'm not going to really touch on this too much, but I mean, I'll mention them. It does. I mean, we are still dealing with a new TV ratings era that is still being sorted out and has been switched around just a couple of times, the methodology behind it in the last year alone. But no surprise that the ratings are up for the title game for the men's side. The Michigan-UConn NCAA championship game averaged 18.3 million viewers on TBS, TNT, True TV, and HBO Max, up 1% in viewership from last year, but actually down 4% in ratings. So notable that a lot of the sports ratings have been tracking up. And now they've changed it around a couple of different times. So I don't know what to make of the TV ratings anymore. It's kind of like they'll need a couple more years of sample size to then say, all right, well, this is the new average we're basing things off of. But you've seen like every single league in America for the last year has been like, record TV ratings. That's not coincidental. That's like all these ratings were just getting boosted. But actually, the men's title game down a little bit in the ratings. But it was the most watched title game since Virginia, Texas Tech on CBS in 2019. Big increase over the last title game in cable, but you don't care about all that. That's for our cable aficionados to figure all that out. But yeah, 18.3 million viewers for the men's title game, and then for the women's title game, 9.88 million viewers for that one, and that was the highest main telecast on ABC. It had some alternate presentations, but was basically just behind the Caitlin Clark Iowa teams the last couple years, which I think with the women, you expected it to go down, because as polarizing as South Carolina may be, or UCLA for that matter, like Caitlin Clark was a phenomenon.
No, the Caitlin Clark was like Miss America. But then you had the rivalry with what's her name? Who can't
Angel Reese.
Angel Reese at LSU and all. That was a 2 or 3 year stretch where they peaked. No doubt they were going to fall off a little bit, but man, that game was an ass kicking for UCLA.
So for the men, just slightly like 200,000 more viewers than last year, even with like the boost that everybody's experiencing. So you wonder like if these were the ratings from a year or two ago. They might actually be down a little bit, but 18.3 for that one. And then the women with a pretty healthy number in their own right, but not quite Caitlin Clark. No surprise there. So there you go. 9.88 million for the women. And there's a few things off the radar.
Unique stars bring unique ratings.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, and that's the
Eyeballs.
case.
Yeah.
That's the case across every sport. More people watched the Masters when Tiger was winning it. More people watched the NBA Finals in that era when Jordan was winning, or Bird or Magic made the NBA what it is today. Before Jordan, got in and hit the accelerator. But if there's no Bird and Magic, it was unique. It's different.
There's no Tiger without Palmer.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
you have those things that are steps along the way, and when those people are gone, you'll see dips. So Caitlin Clark's in the WNBA right now. So yeah, there's going to be a dip. There will be another person this decade or so that's like Caitlin Clark that's that exciting. There'll be another team that people tune in to watch. There'll be another golfer that people tune in to watch, but they don't come around. It's not like Tiger leaves and then passes his driver on to the next chosen one. He's unique. Jordan's unique. LeBron's unique. Like, those guys are different. Kobe, different. Caitlin Clark, different. So when the next one, they just kind of come out of the ether. When that happens, we'll see it.
Yep. All right, Greg. Thank you very much. Do we have Matt in the portal? We do.
I can feel Matt in the portal.
No, I could too. I
feel
saw a big man with a large voice and a new podcast. Let's go straight to him. Matt McChesney with Back in Black, CBS and 247, former Colorado Buffalo, and a great part of what we do.
Look, I'll just tell you right now, Matt's very intimidating, but I think I could take him.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, from a long way away through the.
Yeah, I can.
Hey, it's great to see you, my man. Tell everybody off the top your breaking news on what you're about to start to be able to do, because I think it's going to be incredibly successful.
Yeah, so we've been doing Bailey, my co-host, and I. We've been doing 0 to 60 for about the last 3 or 4 years, and then before that, it was called McChesney Unchained, and so many other things. I've been doing this podcast for about 12, 13 years. And, as they say, the grind pays off. And CBS and 247 took notice, and we worked it out. And tomorrow at 1 p.m., we kick off Back in Black on CBS and 247. And it's an hour-long Buff Insider show that's all Colorado football the whole time for an hour. We'll be doing 4 shows a week at 1 o'clock. You can go to the buffinsider.com and use the promo code B2BPod, and it'll give you 60% off if you want to subscribe and be a supporter. But I'm super excited about it. We've been working our ass off on that channel and putting out good content for a long time, and very unique. From what I can gather, my opinion is kind of polarizing and big. So that's what they were looking for, and that's what we're going to bring you, and I really can't wait. It's going to be under the same umbrella as 0 to 60 on YouTube, but then also at buffinsider.com, and then all over CBS and 247, and all over Twitter and Instagram and everywhere else. So a lot of hard work has paid off, and, tip of the cap to my co-host Bailey and all the production he's done behind the scenes, and it's pretty exciting stuff. So anything we can do to shine productive light on CU and what they're doing up there, we're going to try and do.
Yeah. So Matt, let's get some of those polarizing opinions right now. The way that the coaching staff and roster has been constructed in this offseason, a little bit different. Dion went outside of his comfort zone a little bit, I think, when it came to hiring people, because I think before, especially I do think since he's kind of unique in this, and that nobody's as famous as he is coming into college football coaching, wanted maybe more of a circle of trust that he knew a little bit more. But bringing in Marv and Marion is different. The roster, it looks a little different. What are your thoughts as we get through spring here?
Okay, so I'll push back a little bit. He brought in Marion. He got stuck with Marv. Now he did bring in Marv, and I'm glad he's there. I'm glad he was on the coaching staff roster when the original DC Livingston decided to take a massive pay cut and go to the NFL and work for VJ down the street with the Broncos. So losing your defensive coordinator, the highest paid defensive or the highest paid assistant in the history of the school up to that point, just in the middle of the offseason before you start spring ball, I don't think that that's necessarily a good thing, but it did force Coach Marv into the defensive coordinator position, which maybe Coach Prime anticipated. That's why he brought him on. You know, he's always thinking one move ahead. And, you know, he may have brought him on just because he knew that Livingston had 1 foot out the door. And it seemed to have worked in spring ball. Now, you have to take it with a grain of salt. In spring ball, you're playing yourself, so you better look good. But I'll be interested to see how the defense looks next year, especially against the run. I have no doubt that Colorado is going to be able to compete with skill athletes and quarterbacks and, you know, all the cute skill players on the field. But we have been deficient in the trench, especially on the defensive side of the ball, for many years. And that's what needs to get fixed. And hopefully the first-time defensive line coach and, you know, Coach Marv and everybody else on that defensive side can come together and really, you know, get this group motivated and playing hard and chasing the football and being physical at the point of attack. I think that will take a ton of stress off of the narrative that's going to get out there. Look, they open at Georgia Tech. They're going to hammer the rock. They have to go to Northwestern. They open their new building. They're smash mouth. They want to control tempo and hammer the rock. Then they have to go to Baylor to open Big 12 play. And the last time CU and Baylor played, it was in Boulder, and CU won in a miracle. So I'm sure the Baylor Bears will be wanting to pay that back. And it'll be about 9 million degrees in Waco that first week of September. So and they're going to pound the rock. So this is going to be a huge test on the coaching staff. It's going to start with Marv and Marion. I think Marion's a great fit. We'll see what the go-go looks like and how it fits. You know, with all everybody knows this, and anybody that grew up watching option football back in the day, the option gives you a lot of different like outlets on one play and can put a ton of stress on the defense. But if you get a defense that's good enough, you can shut it down. So it's going to be a lot of give and take with CU this year, and we're going to have to see where they're at.
Matt, when I was looking at all the changes for doing a different video the other day on Colorado, one of the things that stood out to me was Fernando Lovo, the new athletic director. His background is fascinating, man. Like Rick George, obviously very close with Dion, but Lovo, like in football operations at Ohio State when they were winning a national championship, was with Tom Herman in Houston when they were having their 2 biggest years they had ever had, was part of football operations. That Texas and football operations for a long time. So I just find it intriguing that this new AD, he knows football. Like he's been in the game of ball. Like, I don't know about you, but I just find that interesting, especially just the changeover and kind of, he'll know what he's looking for, won't he, when he's looking at Dion and how this Colorado program is put together.
And I think that's why he got the job at such a young age. You know, Rick George kind of handpicked him. I'm pretty good friends and pretty close with Coach Jason Eck down at New Mexico. And I was actually talking to him yesterday. He offered one of my tight ends that I work with. And
nice.
You know, Coach Eck was hired by this athletic director at New Mexico, and they went and won 10 games and like turned it around like this. And I know that this guy didn't hire Coach Prime, and Coach Prime didn't come to work for him, but I do think that they're both on the same page. You know, there's this misconception that like Coach Prime just wants to get paid and he doesn't really care. And, you know, if they win, cool. And if they lose, he's just going to go fishing. I think that he's really competitive and wants to win and is hurt by what happened last year. And I think that the new athletic director and everybody he's bringing in is bringing in fresh blood and a new way to fundraise and get people excited about what they're looking at. Because I hate to say this, but it's true. The number one thing that he needs to do is fix the fan base. There's a splintering of the fan base like I've never seen before in my life. In college or in the NFL, with like if you support Colorado but you kind of like Coach Prime, or you love Coach Prime and you kind of like Colorado, it's not just like everything together pushing in one direction. So he's got to figure out a way to heal the fan base and kind of get everybody pulling in the same direction instead of pulling against each other. You know, the tradition against the, you know, modern day reality of college football where no one cares and things of that nature. But I think he's done a good job up to this point. The spring game will be interesting to see how that goes, although spring games these days are pretty lame. I really wish they would let him play an exhibition game or something in the spring against Colorado State or Nebraska or Syracuse or whoever. That would be so dope all over college football if they played spring games.
Yeah, we've mentioned that before, and I know Syracuse and Dion and Fran Brown talked about it. It was Nick's. But so are you saying that the bloom is off the rose after that dynamic start his first year, and then what they were able to do a little bit with the stars like Travis Hunter?
Yeah. I mean, I hate to. You know what? I don't hate to. We're past that. We're going on year 4, and this is kind of the problem. Is even me, I find myself unconsciously apologizing for having an opinion that might be looked at as negative when it comes to CU. And it happens a ton because you don't want to offend Coach Prime and, the football god that he is, but at the same time, he has a lot to keep improving on as a coach, from both building a staff and keeping a staff and game planning and, time management and everything else that he keeps having to learn on the fly as he goes. I'd like to think that last year was a huge learning experience. It seems like it was. But there's definitely there's a strong push on both sides of the aisle, whether you're a prime sexual over here or you're just an original Buffalo fan, or everybody pushing together. Like I said, there's this break in the expectation where some people think it's cool just to have, a full stadium kind of, and media eyes and get some money because Coach Prime and some commercials, and they just want us to be relevant. And then there's a lot of Buffalo fans that want to win, and being an alum and being part of an era there where that's pretty much all we did. I'm on this side, and I don't care who the coach is, who the players are. The logo and the black and gold and the pride and tradition of that place don't change, and people expect to win in Boulder, and they have to win this year. I don't even think 6-6 is going to cut it. Like, I don't think Coach Prime is going to lose his job. I think they could have a losing record and he could still be back because they don't want to pay the buyout. But I will say this: he could be 6-6 and go to a bowl game, and they're still going to be turning on the stove underneath him on high. So the expectation is through the roof. And you know what, guys? It should be. It absolutely should be. This is not the old Big 12. I mean, I'm glad Texas Tech finally got to a Big 12 title game and finally got a Big 12 title win, and the first time in the history of the entire program. So that's awesome. They only needed to get rid of Colorado once, Nebraska, Texas, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Missouri. You had to get rid of the entire damn conference in order to get to the conference title game and win it. But I'm glad that they did. But my point is, the Big 12 has never been easier to win. So if you're Colorado and you've got Coach Prime and you're paying him $11 million a year, and he said he was bringing in Louis, and you were going to go from, Carl Durrell 4-8 seasons and 1-11 and all that, and then you're looking at 3-9 last year. People are wondering what the change is. So that there's a lot left to be desired, but I do think that they're working their ass off up in Boulder to earn it and to win. I know that those guys up there definitely don't want to just be, in Boulder for a year. Nobody's up there trying to just rent an office.
What do you think about what they've done? You played up front. What have they done up front? That's been the bugaboo. Like Dion can throw out a line and get every fast guy that they want. I mean, that's never going to be an issue. Every team's got fast guys, as a matter of fact. It's the big guys that are the real, unproven commodities, and that's been their big thing. They've had more flashes on the defensive front than the offensive front, and they lost Jordan Seaton, who went to LSU. What do you think about holistically the hog mollies?
Okay, so from an offensive perspective, I played defensive line there, but then I played defense and offense in the NFL. And what I do in Colorado at 6-0 Football Academy, I work with all the top players, and the kids in Colorado, especially the offensive linemen, are they are literally falling out of the rafters at 6'0", 6'6", 310-pound 4-stars. And CU doesn't recruit one of them, not one. They're all going to SC and Michigan and Tennessee and Georgia and Miami, and like the CU doesn't even look at them. So that I'm dumbfounded by that part of it. That's not, it's an issue. It's not really the main issue. The offensive line part of the problem has been coaching carousel. They finally got coaches coming back. Hagman, Gunner, and Dre are all back this year. So hopefully that's kind of slows down the lack of development up front. But also scheme. Pat Schumer's scheme was awful. And they didn't coach it. And they had Xavier Hill, who did great at his pro day the other day, and Jordan Seaton, who a lot of people think is the best tackle in football. Not me, but a lot of people. And they didn't run double team with those two last year at left guard and left tackle one time. Not one double team the whole season. So that's negligent. So the scheme has changed, and I think that will help up front offensively. A lot of offense is just leaning on people and doing it over and over and over again. The old Arizona State adage, my man Kenny Dillingham, that we're just going to keep running the ball at you, and eventually it's going to break open, especially in college. And that takes us to the defensive side of the ball. There's not a lot of defensive linemen in the Denver mountain area, okay? They're going to have to go to Texas and California and Florida and the South to go find the defensive front guys that they want. Now, that said, I'm from Boulder, so I played 3 technique there. So it's not that they can't find them. They just have to look harder, and they don't want to do that. And I've said that twice now about the state of Colorado, so maybe it's a big issue. The defensive front, since they've walked in, yes, the year that they went 9-4, they did a really good job rushing the passer, but they were still middle of the pack against the run and have been. And really, if you want to beat CU up and you want to beat the University of Colorado, especially under Coach Prime, line up and run the ball with them. If you look at that 9-4 year, when they played BYU, they gave up close to 300 yards rushing in the bowl game. When they played Kansas in Arrowhead, we got absolutely slobber knocked by the Jayhawks. They put close to 300 yards rushing. When they played Kansas State in Boulder, they put close to 300 yards rushing on us. That was the famous Gordon breaking off Shiloh in the hole and going to the house. So that whole year, the games where they could get up and rush the passer, they won. And the games where they had to play slobber knock and go back and forth, they got beat up and the defensive line got moved and people ran the ball straight at them. So last year, that's the MO. And it started at Utah, where they went there. They wore the gold jerseys for the first time in 25 years and got absolutely shit stomped on national TV and gave up close to 400 yards on the ground. And Utah just ran the ball straight at them the whole time. And that started what a lot of people thought they had conquered with, bringing in some of these big time SEC defensive linemen that, the kid Otis that went to Ole Miss, who's one of the worst defensive linemen I think I've ever watched play on film, but he's 6'7", 310. They gave him $800,000 last year. He had 4 tackles. That's $200,000 a tackle. I mean, economically for the kid, that's pretty good, but realistically for the program, that's terrible. So defensive line play, yes, you've got to be big, strong, and powerful, and you got to be able to play hard and all those things that line up. But really it comes down to what's in your chest and what's in your head, and can you sync those together? And can you go battle, and can you hold your gap, and can you play a double team, and are you tough enough to actually do it for in and out on a play in and play out basis for the longevity of a season? So they've got to fix that up front defensively. And until they do, the MO is going to be Colorado's cute. Colorado's got skill guys. They have a 5-star quarterback. But all we have to do is stop the run and run the ball at them and control time and possession, and we will wear them out and beat them down and get them off the field. So this new group they brought in up front, the center from Houston and the Cleveland kid from New Mexico State and all these captains from the lower level schools and whatnot. Well, now you're in the Big 12. Let's see how it forms up. So they have a lot of work to do. I know they're doing it. And look, a lot of people are going to hear what I say, like, oh, he's a hater and he's hating on this and that. I'm just a realist who played the position on both sides, offensively and defensively. And I know at 3 technique, for example, when I was a senior, all right, we played in the Big 12 title game against Oklahoma, number 1 or number 2 Oklahoma, when they had Adrian Peterson as a freshman. And he went like 28 for 240 and 3 tutties on us. We had no chance. And the second quarter rolled around, and I was like, we're absolutely screwed. There's nothing we can do. That is a very helpless feeling. You go to the other side of that, where I'm in the NFL and I'm playing guard, and we are just piping the defense, and they can't stop us. There's no better feeling than that offensively. So CU's got to figure out how to lean on that on the offensive side and be the bully. And then they've also got to figure out how to be able to stop people on first and second down so they can unleash pass rush on third down and play with the lead and win football games.
Yeah, it's demoralizing if you stop it. You take the will from your opponent if you can jam it down their throat. Matt, your podcast is going to be great. Our segments with us are great. Thank you for joining us today, and good luck. I had somebody in the chat want me to ask you, have you ever taken, is it Muay Thai kicks?
Muay Thai.
Muay Thai, same thing
Muay Thai.
as a drink. Muay Thai, have you ever faced somebody in the ring or whatever who's done Muay Thai kicks on your legs?
No, and I don't want to. My brother's a fighter and a coach, and those guys are a different kind of tough.
Yeah,
so you stay away from kicking me in the legs.
Yeah. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate your time. Have a great
Later,
day.
guys. Take it easy.
Matt McChesney, good truth serum, great transparency, his thoughts about it in Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't hold back, and I like that he's not trying to play to any side other than just what he feels. And if that rubs some people the wrong way, then so be it. But there's clearly a big divide, like he pointed out, in belief that Deion is the right guy and will get this thing on track and will be what it needs to be, or if it's kind of already seen its peak with the Heisman Trophy winner and Shedeur and Travis and those guys. I mean, I think it remains to be seen. I'm not real high on them this year. They got a great transfer portal class. So did a lot of other people. Their schedule's pretty tough, but we'll see. They've got some guys that are intriguing. I just think they're in that batch of Big 12 teams that you're like, just pull a name out. One of them's going to win 8 games. The other one's going to win 4, and that's almost as accurate as trying to actually sit there and predict it, I feel like. So if it was me projecting right now, I've got them falling short of a bowl game, honestly. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
All right. Thank you to Matt McChesney. Paul Catalina and his top 5.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5.
Welcome into Paul Catalina's Top 5, brought to you by Flag and Anthem. Go to their website, flagandanthem.com. Use our promo code 365sports for a discount at checkout. Yesterday, we talked Big 12 players in the portal. Today, we're going to talk Big 10 players in the portal. And let me tell you, in the top 55 players in the transfer portal in the 2 days since it has been open, there are only 5 so far Big 10 players. Retention, a big deal there in the Big 10 right now. And look, they've got the most money. They're winning. So far, so good for most of the teams in the Big 12. But let's dive into some of the better players that are in the portal out of the Big 10. But there's thousands. But in the top 55, only 5. So good news, I guess, for most of the Big 10. Let's start with number 5, Devin Royal at Ohio State, a power forward, 6'6", 220, 13.7 points, 5.7 rebounds, 1.6 assists per game, shoots 47.6% from the field. This guy can help you out down low. He can score. He can get buckets. He can rebound. He can play defense. Someone's going to pick him up, and he's going to fit in well wherever he goes. Number 4, Zoom Giallo from UW, a sophomore, 6'4", 180 guard, 15.7 points, 4 rebounds a game, 4.5 assists. This guy can do it all, 48.9% from the field this year. Point guards are at an absolute premium. And if you're looking for one who can do it all, 4.5 rebounds a game from the point guard position or the guard position, really, really good. And you plug him into the right system, and I bet you those numbers go up even higher, even though that's a really, really solid season from Zoom Giallo. Number 3, out of Penn State, a 6'3", 195 freshman point guard, Caden Mingo, 13.7 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, 4.3 assists, and shot 47.7% from the field. He was killing it this year for the Nittany Lions. Obviously not at the top of the Big Ten. Going to go probably find a program that is more in the winning mode right now. And he's young. You probably have him for a couple years if you make the right deal and can keep him out of the portal for next year. So that is a great grab. He was just a freshman. This is the first year we've seen him play. The sky is the limit for Caden Mingo if you get him out of the portal. Number 2, a guy who's already visiting Louisville with Flory Badunga from Kansas, Jackson Shelstad, a 6'1" junior guard out of Oregon, 15.6 points per game, 2.9 rebounds, 4.9 assists, shoots about 40% from the field. A distributor, a guy who can make things happen. Not quite in his total shooting mode yet, but someone who can really, really help you win games. And again, point guards are at a premium. There's more big guys in the portal than there are point guards, and point guards always at the premium, which is why they're towards the top of the list. Our number 1 player in the portal, John Blackwell, a 6'4" junior guard from Wisconsin, also entering his name in the NBA draft, likely to come out. 19 points a game, 5 boards, 2.3 assists, shoots 43%. This guy is pretty much wanted by anyone out there, whether they need a guard or not, honestly. But John Blackwell, the most sought after player from the Big Ten in the portal and one of the highest rated guards in the portal. Number 3, 4, 5, or 6 across all services. So if you need a guard, you need a guy who can give you almost 20 points a game, John Blackwell is your dude. He is going to test those NBA waters. I think he'll come back. We'll see. That's going to do it for the top 5. Rez, fire up the wheel.
Okay. There was one book
that you read in school that you actually liked. Andrew's was The Chronicles of Narnia. Mine is A Great Gatsby. Love Great Gatsby. Well, of course, I liked a lot of them, but Great Gatsby is my favorite one that we had to read in school.
Does Dr. Seuss count for me back in the early days?
Look, if that's true, if you had
Honestly,
to read it.
I can't remember the last time I've read a book. I think it was a book about Rocco Mediate and the final and the open in 2009, or whatever it was, with 8 with Tiger. The Great Gatsby, though, that's one I remember. I do. Craig, one book that you read that was
school, you required reading in school,
and you love, and that's your favorite.
Required to read. I really liked. Trying to think, I was Adventures of Tom Sawyer or Huckleberry Finn.
Yeah,
I really like those books growing up. So yeah, I'll go with that. I don't remember if To Kill a Mockingbird was required, but I love that book.
It's the number 1 listed required reading book in high school online.
Most of the time it is. Yeah,
Great Gatsby's 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Gatsby too. Never really have loved the Gatsby movies though. Like they're just not.
You know why it's really hard to capture? It's so well written.
Yeah.
Like it jumps off the page. So I think it's kind of hard to capture that in the movie the same way.
Right.
It's just.
Yeah. Even with Leonardo DiCaprio and the Carey Mulligan, and
that was the best one they ever did because of the way it was shot.
Right.
But you still had to kind of shoot it a weird Baz Luhrmann type way. Yeah. To try to like, it's hard to bring to life. I think some things just don't translate well from the page to the screen.
So I'd say, Adventures of Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, something like that. And I'm old enough that it was actually the real writing. It wasn't altered after the fact. Yeah.
Mine was The Old Man and the Sea.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's Hemingway.
Hemingway, one of my favorites.
Number 1, 2. Here's the top 5: To Kill a Mockingbird, Romeo and Juliet, The Great Gatsby, Lord of the Flies, and Animal Farm.
I did like Lord of the Flies as well. I like, for some weird reason, like Castaway books, like it's Treasure Island or Castaway or Lord of the Flies or like those. You somehow or another ended up on an island and you must survive somehow or another.
I love Lord of the Flies, but it did, like, when you get into it, it's one of those things where you're like, ugh.
It's disturbing.
A couple of them. I mentioned Dr. Seuss. The Outsiders by Scotty B.
I loved Outsiders.
Lord of the Flies was good from Roger.
I'll tell you, the book Dracula is fantastic. It's so good.
Really?
I've read it 4 times. It's so
Do they
good.
have pictures of him?
No. That's probably why I made it 4 times. But I love
a lot of pictures. I need books that have a lot of pictures and big, huge, like, print.
My degree's in English lit, so I have a lot of these, in there. But Gatsby is still the number one because one of the things is, when he wrote it really well, I couldn't believe we were reading that book in Catholic school. Like this is a book about a guy who's partying and drinking and banging this girl, and I was just like,
you mean Catholics don't do that?
Yeah, but like we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And all the time up there, just a lady with her hair pulled back is telling me to read this book, and I'm like, all right, it's great. I love how you're talking around what they're really doing in here.
A couple more, then we go to something Fahrenheit 451.
Good one.
Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah.
It's another one of the books, that I was saying, like Robinson, like all the same.
We had to, from the old Barn Cat, we had to rewrite our own ending in The Lord of the Flies.
Oh,
wow.
That's interesting.
Yeah. That's interesting.
That's I don't know what it would be. It kind of ended.
Mine was The Cat in the Hat, as I mentioned.
Kind of ended pretty well to me.
So. All right, before we get to the quizzes and also the poll results from Andrew Valade, Paul Catalina and I started working together in June of 2010. And have done talk shows, podcasts for a long, long time. 6 years ago on Monday was the start of this podcast with Craig, Paul, and me. He is going to have a different role moving forward. He'll be on tomorrow. I'm out tomorrow, picking up my older brother who's flying in from Florida. And so Craig and we will start our podcast called The Smoke Show on Monday. And this for Paul today and tomorrow, the last part of him being a part of the afternoon show.
Yes, I'll be launching a new podcast, which we'll fully announce on May the 1st when we have all the details worked out. I just want to say for you two, I know this has been kind of a weird time, and it's always weird when you have transition, but I appreciate every single great thing that we've done together. Not everything is always easy, but I do love the both of you so much, and I am appreciative for every single second of what we've been able to do and accomplish here. It was time for me personally to kind of just try something I've wanted to try and have that be my thing for kind of a while now. This has been in my head, and sometimes you just got to do it or you're never going to do it, and that's why the decision was made. And but I love you guys unconditionally and forever. So we're still going to do some crossover promotion and things. I hope that we can do those things because it's been a ride.
Yeah, it has. And I want to thank Paul for, so many different things over the years, kind of like the leader for a lot of production and behind the scenes stuff. And I know you didn't always ask to do that. You kind of were just given that as the sort of default second in command in a lot of ways, or the first in command, depending on whatever the topic was. So yeah, we are not here without you. I miss the days actually of being in your attic.
Yeah, those are fun.
I'd trade right now for that. I'd trade pre-YouTube channel for that right now. But it is what it is. Life goes on and moves on. And so you've been doing it for a while. I certainly know the feeling. We all have ideas to do different things. You don't just want to do the same thing. And if you do that, then you're just fortunate to fall into the first thing and just love that and all that. But yeah, times change and shows change. And so we'll still be here in some capacity for the foreseeable future. And I'm sure Lord willing, we'll see, have some crossovers and whatnot. But we'll still be doing our thing, kind of like how we've been doing it, but just Paul will not be in the picture. And so thanks, man, for all that you did and all that you've done and all that you'll continue to do for everybody. And you're a great guy. And it's been fun.
Yeah. And then when we announce what Paul starts with his podcast on May the 1st, we'll of course be a part of that. He and I have done a lot. We've gone to a lot of special events, Craig too, especially back in the days of radio. And we slept in the same bed one time. I was underneath the sheet and you were on the top because you couldn't sleep on the couch bed. It was too, you didn't want to.
It was maybe a torture rack.
Like a torture rack.
And look, the option of sharing the bed with you or going back on that thing I was like, you know what? I'll do. Yeah. It was. I remember you even said to me, it was very funny.
You're not dying here.
No, but like you said to me that night, I was just like, how bad could it be? Like you can't be that bad. And then I was like, lay on it for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and then
bad.
you got up and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, it was that metal fold out bed.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, Craig and Paul here. Monday, Craig and I will start the smoke show on Monday. We're going to do pretty much what we do and what we have done with a few extra wrinkles. And so good luck, man.
Well, thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah. I think it's bittersweet, but I totally understand. There's no hard feelings. And we wish Paul the best, and we'll see how much we collab in the future. But we've done a lot of good things and memorable shows together, and just life goes on. So it's your moment to go on and do your own thing. And I certainly understand that.
All right. Good luck. And
All right.
we'll be here every day. Except I won't be here tomorrow. My brother's coming in from Tampa. Here we go with the quizzes. See if we can continue to have the streak, whether Paul's here or not. Here's the trivia question. Craig, you read this one. You're the golf fan.
Yeah. Augusta National is famous for its difficulty, but statistically, which hole ranks as the hardest in Masters history? Hint, it is the first hole of the legendary Amen Corner, 10th hole Camellia, 11th hole White Dogwood, 12th hole Golden Bell, or 18th hole Holly.
Well, it wouldn't be the 18th because that's the last hole of anything. So
Amen Corner, number 11 is the pond to the left. 12 is the par 3 that killed Jordan Spieth and many others. And 13 is the famous par 5 with the spectacular bunkers and azaleas in the background and the creek, Race Creek in front of it. It is number 11. It's what also has taken many a name and thrown them off the top of the leaderboard to start Amen's Corner.
Number 11 is where you go from feeling I'm at this majestic golf course to why did God make me a golfer?
Yeah, it's one famous shot on 11 was Larry Mize chipping in to beat Greg Norman.
Yeah.
And so it's an 11.
And
the
11th hole.
By the way, I'm wearing this Masters
The
shirt.
520-yard par 4 11th hole, statistically the toughest test at Augusta, playing at an average of plus 0.304 over par as the start of Amen Corner. Its demanding dogleg right and water-guarded green have derailed countless championship runs. In contrast, the par 5 second hole ranks as the easiest on the course.
That's the one that lulls you into a sense of I could do this.
What, 13?
No, 2.
Oh, yeah.
2.
No.
You go to 2 and you're there. Now, I haven't done this, but this is watching the Masters my whole life. 2, you have oh my God, I birdied that hole.
Yeah.
You know what? This is not that scary.
What is amazing is, to me, the holes that don't get a lot of attention that I know are the most difficult. I've seen all the greatest players. Very few of them have done well on the first par 3. Also 17. There's some doozies. All right, there we go with that one. Now this one, Paul.
Okay. What holes in one are rare at the Masters? One par 3 has seen an ace explosion with 20+ in tournament history. Which hole is it? Hint, the famous Sunday pin where the ball funnels into the cup.
Easy.
Number 4, flowering crab apple. Number 6, juniper, which is what they make gin out of. Number 12, golden bell. And number 16, redbud.
All right, number 4 is a sneaky long par 3 that you very rarely see. It's tucked around towards the back right of the course. Number 6 is straight downhill where people sit on the hill to watch incoming shots. 12, of course, is the famous one I mentioned with Jordan Spieth, who threw it in the water a couple. It is number 16 because it's the one where Tiger chipped in from behind the green, and it is, for whatever reason, that 2-tier green and a lot of hole-in-ones. I believe it's 16. There we go.
You are correct. The 16th hole is the ultimate ace magnet at Augusta National, accounting for 24 of the tournament's 34 holes in one total. Interesting, the most famous par 3 in the course, the 12th, is much stingier. Yep. Only 3 players have ever aced it in tournament history, with the most recent occurring way back in 1988
My God,
by Curtis Strange. But 1988 wasn't that long ago. I was alive. I was 8 years old. That was only 38 years ago.
That's a long time ago, and that's the hole where Fred Couples hit it short and it trickled. It was going to go back into the pond or the creek. and it stopped. And there's no reason why it should ever stop. He ended up going on to win the Masters. All right, here are the poll results. What is your Masters must-have menu order? Good
Pimento
God.
cheese wins. Egg salad comes in last. I love egg salad. I don't know.
That's my
But
favorite.
peach ice cream, which it's undeniable in Georgia, you got to get peach ice cream anyway, and I bet it's pretty good at the Masters. Classic chicken, 20%. Egg salad at 12%.
Yeah, that surprises me. And look at the prices. By the way, for you wanted to order those at AT&T Stadium, add a 0 after the first number, most likely.
Yeah. I'm not a food snob. I'm not like snobbish about it. I just am very plain about food. I'll try new things, but there are just certain things and substances I don't like. I would starve before I would eat 1 and 4. I would just starve. I would just starve.
Well, you're not like a mayonnaise guy. So you don't
like that. No.
So egg salad. I mean,
No,
do you
disgusting.
do you like eggs? But you don't like egg salad.
I only really like scrambled eggs and maybe over easy every once in a while.
So
But
boiled
that's
eggs
it.
out the window.
Yeah.
Okay.
Boiled egg out of the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's. I've had the egg salad. I've had the classic chicken. I haven't had. They have Klondike bars, which is Eric Horton's father-in-law. Burley swore by them, but I've not had the pimento cheese, and I won't. All right. Which club is the most? This better be okay. Yeah. Which club is the most vital to your score?
The wedges win 37%.
So untrue.
It's the putter, right? 33%.
All right. If you play well and you shoot a low score, you are still going to have somewhere in the lower 20s of how many putts you make. Make. That doesn't mean 20 or number of putts, that you take. It's going to be in the low 20s. If you shoot a 68, if that's 20 or a third of it, then you can tell which is the other ones. Now, the short game, the wedge game, is very, very, you get it closer to the hole. You don't have to putt as much. But to me, it's the putter. But our audience says the wedge short game.
Yeah, the driver coming in third is a lot of sense. It sets the tone. But so many guys have won major golf tournaments, big time, many golf tournaments, and not been the Tommy Long knocker.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you can. It's more about where you hit it and then how far. Now, if you have no strength at all, that's a whole different thing. But you're probably not a professional golfer. I mean, the worst driver on the tour embarrasses most people.
Yes.
So the guy who's the worst at it, who has the lowest average, if you just invite him to play with you on a Sunday, he's still wearing your ass out.
The average number of putts in the Masters over 72 holes is 114. So think about that. There's 72 holes, just about 2 putt and a half a hole for the winners. And they play 18 holes. It's going to be 23, 24, whatever.
You drive for show and you putt for dough.
You're right. You're right. And that's where more people change their club than anything else that's on that list. Hybrids, of course, are somewhat new over the last 30 years or so. All right, Craig, thank you very much. You and Paul, thank you very much. I'll be back on Monday. Thanks to Rez. Thanks to Logan. Thanks to Garrett and Andrew. Thanks to you. I'm David Smoke, 365 Sports, and good night.